It's going down like this, motherfucker.
This shit is crazy. The following
Nigga get mad. Say, motherfucker, what you mean you ain't gonna let me in this funky joint? Much money I done spent in here, nigga. I knew your mama when she was horn. Hump, baby. Shit, bet I do it over time. Say that, nigga. Shit. Bar, back the bar, off time. Shit, boy, I'm trying to make me some money. Boy, I'm hungry as a hog needs slop Jesus. Shit, gotta be a Jesus, cause too many black folks.
For what he has, he says that the only for what he has, 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 he says that for what he has, he says that the only for what he has, he says that the only way that we can for what he has, he says that the only way that we can solve our problem for what he has, he says that the only way that we can solve our problem is to unite together among ourselves, among our own kind. Clean ourselves up, rid ourselves of the evils that we've become addicted to here in this society, and try and
Yes, he destroy black boys. 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 If you destroy him as a boy, he'll never become a man.
This ain't loud enough. I'm still trying. This ain't loud enough. I'm still trying. This ain't loud enough. I'm still trying.
I just left a light in this bitch. I'm finna hit the shop in this shit.
Hey, where are the white women at?
I'm trying to told you just with Herman, man.
Hey, where are the white women at?
I'm trying to told you just with Herman, man.
Hey, where are the white women at?
I'm trying to told you just with Herman, man.
Now
her mind is.
Gotta get a piece of my a little adventure.
Joe feet. He looked down, seen his feet. The nigga went berserk. Killed the monkey. Threw the bat out the window. Start kicking that bitch in the air.
Say anyway, but I will. The way quantum entanglement works is that you can take two particles, quantum entangle them, and then take those two particles and move them at any distance in the cosmos. And let's just say, for example, if you quantum entangle two electrons and you have them spinning in the same direction, and then you take one of those electrons and you shoot that thing out 100,000 light years from the original. If you then rotate the spin on the one electron, if you modify it so that its spin changes, the quantum entangled electron at any distance will simultaneously in no time switch its rotation also, because they're quantum entangled. So these communication systems are taking advantage of this aspect of quantum mechanics that most people can't wrap their heads around, and this is what they're utilizing. It's just the new level of science that affords us the ability to communicate at any distance instantaneously. Can you?
You don't understand. It's cool enough just being cool. It's cool enough just being cool. It's cool enough just being cool, like I am.
My eye, plus I'm in love with a bitch I can't stand.
Group of you together, you never can tell who's who.
I've seen a lot of black guys, Nipsey, but you're overdoing it.
I mean, TikTok. 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 A lot of the white content creators on TikTok get all of their dances from the black content creators.
You're a philosopher? Yes. You're a philosopher? Yes. You're a philosopher? Yes. I think very deeply.
Dance with me. Dance with me. Oh yeah.
stars out there. Most of them is psychopaths and all that. They'll kill your mama's mama, and you.
Decent white folk that still don't know they're racist.
What the hell you want here, hunky?
Don't know me want it.
I don't mean to be out of line. Mean to be rude. Mean to be rude. Mean to be rude. I don't mean to be out of line.
Your lines are still open. Oh shit, you can get it, nigga. You wanna get it?
Get your hands off of me, shit!
I think we OD'd. I think we OD'd.
The Chinese platform, you already know they don't give a fuck about your black ass.
But my word, can't be my equal, I don't know what you heard. But my word, can't be my equal, I don't know what you heard.
That's the difference when you're my baby. That's how it is when you're doing the styles up. Doing the styles up.
Used to snort cocaine, now I fiend for the check, yeah. Used to snort cocaine, now I fiend for the check, yeah.
Heavy, I'm a walking dead man, is what they call me when I come in. I hit the loot juice, and pulls up in the dude. Heavy, I'm a walking dead man, is what they call me when I come in. I hit the loot juice, and pulls up in the dude. Heavy, I'm a walking dead man, is what they call me when I come in. I hit the loot juice, and pulls up in the dude.
I guess you go to the history of European civilizations. 250 years is how long they last before they implode because of their greed, because of their violence, because of an inability to let others be, including themselves. If they didn't have brown and black people to hate, they would hate themselves.
Lean and buck, lean, buck, lean, buck.
To the east. Greetings. This is Big Pontiac, and welcome to the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am the holder of the infinite sacred ball game that was created by the Hero Twins, and I am that one and only Galactic Daddy-O, welcoming each and every one of you to my galactic patio that reaches from Minnesota to the universe. All right, that seems to be time to come in all the way live like Lakeside. And when we go all the way live, you know how we slide. We slide with Great Lakes Elliott Ness, which is the finest nectar in the land. So pop 'em if you got 'em. Oh. And you know, I just wanted the free glasses they gave me. I go to so many places. They just say, here, you can take a glass with you. Remember us. So cheers Cheers to everybody out there who joins me. And what we taking to the head is the vegan herb gummies. So smoke them if you want them. I guess we can talk. Oh, let's say what's happening to brother PJ Allen. What's happening? Jamar 3224. Jeffrey Lane. And L Reborn Amaru Khan. What's happening? Jeffrey, my best friend, said he went to see that Spider-Man shit, and he said it wasn't shit. So, thank you. You was the first one to tell me that. So, thank you. He went to see it. Tony went to see it, and he said the movie wasn't shit. He's like, yeah, don't go see that shit. So, thank you. So, I'm a Thursday, maybe Thursday. It's hard to say, but maybe Thursday we'll go see Dune because Dune is gonna open up Thursday. It's saying in theaters Friday, but it generally the movie's there the day before. So. Depending on, how the week goes. But right now, it looks like we're going to go see Dune on Thursday. I'm guessing. So, yeah. Let me tell y'all, this was quite a day here in my town. So I got to go right to it. I guess we can break the All-Star game down a little bit. Towns was allowed to get 50. You could see LeBron didn't want to play a whole bunch. There's a whole bunch of them didn't want to play a whole bunch. So that was interesting to let Towns... Dame Dollar's half-court shot was definitely manipulated, and I mean that was what was interesting. Certain stuff should not be on the apps anyway. Stuff not living up to the hype anymore. That's a good point. I told you, just trying to save you. It was so bad that 2 people bought tickets in my theater. That's what he said. Tony said he saw it opening day or opening night, and he said it was only 7 people in there. That's what he said. He said it was only 7 people in there with him, so I can see that. So I'm gonna wait to see Dune. Thank you. I'll wait till it comes out. It's like Bob Marley, like we said about Bob Marley. We still probably got 1 ticket to Bob Marley. We gave away the other 3, and so I'll wait for that to come out. I'm not really crazy, but I do want to see Dune because I saw the original 2, the original first one. Read the book in high school. Remember, it was a Dune TV series. Those of you are old enough. It was not really a TV series, but like maybe a 4-day event where they broke the story down to 4 days. I don't know if a lot of people remember that. It seemed like USA Channel or TBS. It was one of those 2. So, yeah, I wanted to hit people to that. So, the All-Star game was entertaining. Nothing outstanding. Again, that Dame half-court shot, that was so manipulated. It was like, to me, they was almost teasing me to make a video about that shit. It was so manipulated looking. It seemed like they almost teased me, to make a video about it. It's like, nigga, you ain't made a sports video in a while. Look at this one. I mean, it was so, they are only showing Madam Web on one day, and so it's bad. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, we didn't see it, and thank you. My boy saw it, and he said it wasn't good. So Fast and Dune, do they have powers? I understood that. I never understood Dune. Yeah, he had, so... If you remember in Dune, his mother's family, remember they were the more spiritual side. They was witches. So he was able to have the power of the witches, and he was able to have the power of the warriors in his father's family. But yeah, to have those extra abilities comes more from his mother's side. So that's how he was able to sense things and stuff. Remember when they had him put his hand in the box and shit like that, and so, Dame shot that shit too. So that's one of the reasons. It's like he is the one they were waiting for that they had wrote about in the history books. So he was all powerful. So that's kind of why the way he was moving. So Yeah. Yeah, Dane shot that. Yeah, he did. He you know, you could tell when the shit is in the earbuds. And they telling a nigga just to fire it up. So, yeah, that's what he did. He fired that shit up. But Towns almost got, he dropped that 50 and that was nothing to sneeze at. And, the East won. And I think what a dude put up 1,200. I think Dame being MVP was something like 1,200. So whoever got into that, there was some money to be made, even on this bullshit. But overall, it was nothing, Whoops. I'm knocking the phone down. It was nothing overall to be excited about, but, it was what it was, entertainment. And so what did we expect to get on that kind of entertainment? So I was entertained. That's what I could say is I was thoroughly entertained. Man, I think that's all that it's supposed to be. I like the hustles. I like the dunks. I like the lack of defense. Like the lack of defense because there was no defense. Okay, so I don't know. I thought Ant had a nice dunk. So it was what all-star games are. Nobody was really going at it hard, which they really shouldn't have been. And so, wow. So we were, as I said, we were entertained, and what else? That's all we're supposed to be is entertained. So, okay. It can give me. We can stop that. Let's see. Can I get right here? Let me see. No. Yes. No. No. It still ain't what I want. It's all right. All right. I think this motherfucker's charged anyway. It's charged good enough. So, mildly entertained today. Mildly entertained. That's all. I didn't do a whole lot today. We got rid of our couch. The person that bought our couch, we took it over to her house. And we're getting our house, all the carpets cleaned. I got to put all this stuff up and off the floor so we can get the carpet cleaned in here and then there and in the bedroom and downstairs. 3 bedrooms and our living room. So that's what we're doing. What's a gipper? You found a not milk situation. Okay, not milk. Is that what you're trying to say? Dame shot that 50-footer too. Yeah, he did. What's a gipper? What's a gipper? Oh, the gipper is the dude in Philadelphia. He's the gipper. That's what I call in Philadelphia. I call him the gipper. God in Pennsylvania, Hey, what's happening, Dr. Sinister? Thank you for coming on in. I appreciate you coming on in. So, what was this supposed to be? It was what it was supposed to be. We got to see a lot of the young stars at their first time. And, you get rings for being in the All-Star game, too. And you get rings for being All-Pro. So, hey, Lorenzo, thank you for joining me. Oh, yeah, Dr. Sinister, thank you for joining me, too. I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming in. Thank you for coming in this evening. Everyone that's joining. This really does play games with us sometimes. It's reality. Yeah, a little bit. It really does. It really does play. It can be what it wants to you. It can. it's like it can like with the phones, you know, and the phones being, you know, almost like an opiate. The phones is like electric opiate, you know, constant stimulation, constant what you want. You know, where TV, you may not want to watch the movies because there's nothing on. Well, you know, when you can watch people, you know, just constantly see people doing stuff and reading stuff. So, you know. Oh, yeah, I had to come on a little early. I got to get up early tomorrow. I got some shit to do that really ain't nothing. Just get up and hustle. That's all. And I was talking to my friend. I was telling him, I was like, you know, Dune comes out next week. He's like, no, not for 2 weeks. I'm like, you know, this is a new week. He's like, oh, that's right. I'm like, it's next week, next Thursday. He's like, that's right. You know, because most people are off today. You know, if you're off, good for you. If you get holiday pay, right the fuck on. Right the fuck on if you get holiday pay. The game, man, yeah, it wasn't very exciting, not at all. I mean, I don't know, was it trash? It was what it was supposed to be. All-star game where nobody's trying to get hurt, nobody's trying to get injured. People want to see long shots and dunks. So that's what we saw, long shots and dunks. Did I see Trump's sneakers? Yeah, I saw them. I had no interest in buying them. I was, you know, they didn't really say who made them for him. And, you know, it's just like, you know, and he usually gets his stuff made in China. So I wasn't sure where they came from. So, yeah, I didn't want a pair. Oh, your son went to see Dune tonight? He got to see it tonight? Okay. Wow. Somebody opened it super early. Because it's saying a release of, so he must have got like what I got a few weeks ago, or last summer, where what was it, the old people thing? We got to see it a week ahead of time. So okay, because it's not supposed to come out until next Thursday. But if he gets to see it tonight, okay, I can dig that. Let us know how it is. Fine, be connected to what's going on in real life. Can't. What are you saying? Can fine be connected to what's going on in real life? I just never got into Dune. I was more into Star Wars. I would say Dune is close to, well, I think some of it goes into the myth of the warrior, you know, the warrior king myth, and tying the warrior king myth with, you know, the kind of the idea of the trying to compare it to what sector of where you have the warrior king being connected with the witches, you know. And I guess that's a little bit of Sir Lancelot, a little bit, you know. So, but that's kind of what part of it is. As soon as I came home from work, I saw the score. I was like, I'm not watching that shit. Oh yeah, they got it over 200, so you knew that it was. Oh, okay. But yeah, so that's kind of what it is. It's kind of that myth. And almost, I guess it could be Knights of the Round Table a little bit. And even like when you saw, let me see, when you saw, what was it called? Alexander the Great in his movie where the mother was trying to show that he was a divine person. Well, in Dune, he's divine through, you know, his mother being the witches, and then his father being the warrior. And so, you know, it's trying to balance the two things. It's putting magic with power together. You know, the warrior has the power of the king, but the knowledge and the magic come from the woman. And so that's kind of what they're bringing together here. And again, it does go into kind of the Jesus stuff or even Mothra, even the Mothra kind of thing, you know. So a little bit of that. So, and killing, you know, like, you know, it turns out that the worms are the spice. So they've been slowly, you know, killing the worms that naturally have a connection with the people on that given planet. So it wasn't until they started hunting that the new people came in and started hunting the worms for the spice that the worms, you know, went to war against the people there and was, you know, but it was that was, you know, the spice was the worms. And so, you know, it was kind of almost maybe a part of like with the trees, you know, you're decimating so much that except the trees didn't have anybody to come to their aid. And so they come to the aid of the worms because the worms are being, you know, put to death so everybody can get high. And that's kind of what it turns out to. Yeah, all that Trump shit, talk about China, but presenting some shoes that most likely made by them. Definitely made by China. There's no doubt that, guys, you know, his shirts, he was talking all this shit that, you know, people looking at his clothes is made in China because, you know, he seems to be a cheapskate in some ways. You know, you had all those, that was amazing. All the people that came and talked about how Trump wouldn't finish, you know, he would pay them under what they're supposed to be paid. I mean, it was like a lot of, so he's kind of, I don't know. Some reason he seems to kind of be and a scammer. I mean, no doubt his university seemed to be scamming people. So he does seem to be a scammer, but he is a business person, which is no doubt can't be ignored. But, you know, I don't know if Jim Crow Joe is any better. It doesn't seem like it, you know, so. But, you know, a lot of them going after him, too, is they had all these years to go after him. But they go after him now, and it does seem like it's political. The attacks are political. Because he's been scamming, like, in New York especially, for years. And, yes, he got sued for trying to stop black folks from renting in his buildings. That is a fact. So, as a comedy, yeah, I think so. But I think it's going to be some kind of rallying point some type of year, you know, the way they're going to do a second, you know, they sold all these out, and I don't know how many he had, but you can believe there's going to be a run on them. And it's going to, they're just trying to see what kind of demand. And now that they sold out, they're going to make more. And that's going to be kind of, seems like a type of rallying point for them. Because you can get the shoes, you know, that's Trump. And then you can get the knockoff Trump shoes. You know, you can just spray paint them gold and like, hey, get some brass shoes. He scammed my city of Bridgeport, Connecticut. Yeah, it seemed like he scammed more people than that. Seemed like he scammed more people, but yeah, he scammed a lot of people. So that's no doubt. But that's a, you know, that's a businessman. You can't put anything past what they call a flim-flam man. Trump is kind of a flim-flam man. No doubt about that. He's kind of a flim-flam man. So, but we'll see. This is going to be an interesting year. There wars all around us. There's fires all around us. You know, there's a couple countries they burned out. Well, I wanted to share this. There's a lot to share here. This happened here this morning in my town. Again, the Twin Cities is basically 11 counties. So 11 counties, and I live south in a south suburb, and this happened today in a south suburb. So I'm gonna just let it play, and they'll tell you.
That killed 3 first responders. It happened early this morning in Burnsville. About an hour ago, we heard from investigators for the very first time.
We are all hurting. Our officers, our fire department.
Hey, these motherfuckers is shook. Now, I had to look this up. This is some comparisons. We have roughly, in the city I live in, we have 63,000 people roughly. The city of Battle Creek has about 50,000 to 55,000. We have 75 police officers. We are the suburb of a major city, and this is part of the Twin Cities. We have 75 cops. Battle Creek, Michigan, 55,000 people, have over 200 cops. Do you hear me? This small little town has 200 police officers. But anyway, these people are shook, and I'll break the story down as they go. So here we go. They are shook.
Our families, all of our staff, our community. We're heartbroken.
We now know 27-year-old officer Paul Elmstrand and 27-year-old officer Matthew Ruge died, along with 40-year-old firefighter and paramedic Adam Finseth. Another officer is in the hospital. An emotional journey took the first responders.
Okay, so to tell you a little bit of what I know, again, this dude was a firefighter and an EMS. All right, so he was with the SWAT team. He's the EMS for the SWAT team. So the SWAT team got called in, he comes in. One of these dudes gets shot in the house. One gets shot in the yard. I think he was trying to give first aid to this guy. He gets shot. They don't tell who killed the guy because the original call was the domestic, but that's kind of how what happened. I think he got shot in the house. He got shot, and I think they got shot with high-powered rifles because it must apparently went through the vest. He was trying to save him, and the dude killed him, is what I know.
Officer is in the hospital. An emotional journey took the first responders from downtown Minneapolis to the medical examiner's office in Minnetonka. Their caskets, draped in American flags, were carried into vans outside the hospital as a crowd of law enforcement stood to salute them. Doctors, nurses, and other Hennepin healthcare staff lined up in the Skyway to see them off. Police, fire, and paramedic vehicles stayed close as the vans departed downtown. As the caravan made its way west, Minnesotans lined the route to pay their respects. Firefighters saluted first responders.
Okay, this is what doesn't make sense. This is what doesn't make sense. The coroner's office is in Hopkins, if I remember right. There's a hospital. We have a hospital in Burnsville. So it would make no sense to take those people all the way to Minneapolis when we have a hospital in Burnsville. So a lot of this is for show. It was no reason, unless my understanding, the coroner's office is in, maybe that's Plymouth. No, that might be Eden Prairie. So I'm not sure why they took them downtown. A lot of this is for show. I'm going to have to break in. We got a hospital in Burnsville. That's where they had to have taken, well, if you die on the scene, there, but it didn't. Yeah, it didn't even happen in Hennepin County because Burnsville, we're in Dakota County. So, see some inconsistencies there.
Responders from an overpass. As the procession approached Minnetonka, families stood solemnly on the side of the street. When they reached the medical examiner's.
Okay, I was right. Okay, it's Minnetonka and not Eden Prairie. Okay, and I knew it was out there because it's off the golf course. It's funny. It's out there near. It's a juvenile delinquency place out here too.
Office. The escort didn't end at the entrance. The group walked in alongside the fallen first responders, so they were never alone. Back in Burnsville, neighbors are trying to make sense of what happened just steps from their homes. Our team coverage continues now with Mariel Mose. She's live in that neighborhood tonight after speaking with some of those families. Al?
Well, Derek, there's been a growing memorial within the last couple hours. You can see behind me here. No messages are written, but it's symbolism that speaks volumes. You can see black and blue balloons along with a black poster with a thin blue line through it. This is symbolism we've seen often that just represents the ultimate sacrifice that law enforcement make in the line of duty, which is certainly something that happened here overnight, where 2 Burnsville police officers lost their lives along with a Burnsville fire paramedic. You can also see a Rosemount squad car behind me. This shows you that agencies outside of the city of Burnsville came out here to help out and give aid in this situation. I spent the day talking to neighbors in this area who told me that they woke up to gunfire.
I heard or looked out my window because the window's right above here, and it sounded like it was right where that 20-mile-per-hour sign is at.
Jason Skog said he started to see a large police and SWAT presence in his Burnsville neighborhood around 2 in the morning, but said things escalated 3 hours later at 5 a.m.
I heard a large explosion, which I chalked up right away to a mortar going off like a firework. But then like a minute later, I heard another one, followed shortly thereafter by a series of gunfires, really rapid, like And then I knew right away that something bad was taking place.
Skog didn't know exactly where the shooting was coming from, but knew it was close to his house.
Shortly thereafter, we got a phone call from the police department to shelter in place. And this is a tragedy.
Dylan Foline lives in this neighborhood too. He's a father of two shaken by what happened, especially after learning that a family was barricaded in the home at the time of the shooting.
You know, I have to now explain to my daughter what happened today. And
They said there were 7 children in the home. This dude is popping off at him. He kills one cop in the house with 7 children. 7 children, and he's popping off. And they said he was moving from one spot to the other. So he kills the guy on the inside, and he's moving. So they saying he barricaded. Okay, he might have had one thing barricaded, but what they reported that he was going from different position to different position. So this was a trained dude too. So
I mean, it's just the thought of those kids. That's what really hits home to me. And my heart goes out to the family of the responders.
Now, I'm standing on the corner of 33rd Avenue. Down this street behind me is the home where this shooting took place overnight, and it's barricaded off still. No one can go through except for law enforcement and other people who have homes on this street. It's been that way since this morning. It's still that way 12 hours, more than 12 hours after the fact, showing you that the BCA is really combing through this active crime scene. It's a very thorough investigation, Derek.
Okay, thank you, Elle. Here are some of those details that came from the press conference today. This all happened on 33rd Avenue South. Authorities say an armed man was barricaded with family members. When authorities arrived, the situation escalated into gunfire, the city says. The gunman killed Elmstrand, Ruge, and Finseth and injured another officer who is expected to survive. The suspect was reported dead at 8 this morning. Authorities say 7 young children were inside the home between the ages of 2 and 15. They made it out safely. One other police officer, Sergeant Adam Medlicott, was injured. He is expected to survive. People across Minnesota and the country are sharing their reactions to this tragedy. The Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association saying in part, these heroes leave behind loved ones and a community who will forever remember their bravery and dedication to keeping Minnesotans safe. The governor said this afternoon that
that's just not today and tomorrow.
Majority Leader Aaron Murphy also shared their thoughts in person. They were guests on WCCO Sunday morning.
It is a horrific tragedy. It's so sad. It reminds us of the courage required to be in a profession, to go in those dangerous situations, to help those of us who need help. And
for the families of our law enforcement officers.
okay, I want to show you some people. I want to find this press conference because these motherfuckers were shook. I'm telling you, let me find the press conference because they were shook. Like all of them, the city manager, all of them was shook. Because my daughter's mother, you know, I stayed up late last night. So y'all, I ain't get up till about 1, and she had sent me this early in the morning when she heard about it. Here we go. I want y'all to see these people's faces and tell me if they shook or not. These people are shook. I'm telling you. I'm gonna let them go for a second but I just want you to see these people face. Hey, look up here. You know, hey, and it wasn't one of us that they got. You know that. Look at this. All these Europeans. Look at the government holding that signal. Got to throw that signal out there. Yeah, we know what that's saying. We know who's involved and who's not. But look at this. A lot of Europeans. I don't even know where he's from. Maybe he's in the department. But, yeah, these mugs are shook, y'all. These mugs are shook. Now, listen. This is the city manager. Now, let me explain this. If y'all don't understand how cities are ran, let me break this down. So, like in the city of Minneapolis, we have a strong mayor. Like Chicago, Detroit, they are ran by mayors. All right, that's called a strong mayor. Majority of cities in America are run by city managers, and the mayor's just kind of a figurehead. He has no real power. So I don't even know if Burnsville has a mayor, but the mayor he has no power. Minneapolis, the mayor has all the power. but most towns it's the city manager. And here goes the city manager. If you guys didn't know that, check this mug out. Why do they got this?
My name is Greg Lindberg.
Okay.
I'm the city manager here in Burnsville, and it's been a difficult and emotional day here for our community and our team. I thank you all for being with us today as we share some important information on a critical incident that occurred in our community this morning. Today, we'll have several updates for you. First, Drew Evans from the BCA will provide an update on the critical incident that occurred. And then both our police chief and our fire chief will make comments about this difficult day in our team, in our family here in Burnsville. Words can't express how hard today has been. We know that people want and need information, and that's our role in providing good government and good service to the community. And we want to also make sure that we take good care.
Okay, let's okay. Here's the one that's gonna break it down. I think the BCA here
To Mr. Evans with the BCA.
I think the BCA is the local FBI bureau because it's the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, I think.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Drew Evans. I'm the superintendent at the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and we've been asked to investigate this matter, and I'll provide a quick update. First, thank you on behalf of the team here for all the law enforcement support, the governor's support.
Hey, you see he ain't shook. You notice he ain't shook? He got some fake hair going, though. Yeah, this is some fake hair. He got some fake hair going. Because I was looking how fake this looks. That's fake looking like, look at that. That's dye. But look at his emotions compared to the other people talking.
Support, Commissioner of Public Safety support for everybody that's having just an incredibly difficult day. This is really a terrible day for the city of Burnsville.
And remember, hair doesn't grow way down here. Hair don't grow on your forehead down here. Look at him. He got the Eddie Wolf gang. The widow's peak. They look like bad. All these mugs. Let's go.
All of the residents, the law enforcement, and fire communities that are mourning the loss of these public servants that occurred early today. At approximately 1:50 a.m. on February 18th, Burnsville police were called to a residence in the 12,600 block of 33rd Avenue South on a report of a domestic situation where a man was reported to be armed and barricaded with family members in the home. We later learned that there were 7 young children in the home, ranging from ages 2 to 15 at the time of this event occurred. When officers got to the scene, the individual was barricaded, and they spent quite a bit of time negotiating with this individual who was barricaded in the home, and additional officers responded at that time. At one point during that barricaded situation, the subject opened fire on the officers in the home, and officers Elmstrad, Ruge, and Finseth for the fire department, Mr. Finseth, were killed by the gunman during the response. One other officer, Sergeant Adam Medlicott, was injured and was shot as well, where he's suffered non-life-threatening injuries, but is in the process of being treated. At approximately 8 a.m., the subject was reported to be deceased in the home, and later that morning, those other children and family members.
Whoops. Now remember what the guy said that was the neighbor. He heard the initial shots, which was, he killed him about 2, 3 in the morning, somewhere in there. The SWAT didn't go in there and get him because he said he heard 2 big bangs. So they rushed in there when they finally got him isolated. How did they not hit one of the children? Like, where did he put the children where they were never in harm and they knew to shoot up in there? Because they had to kill him. They went in there. They ain't saying, but they killed him. He ain't killed himself, but all right, let him tell it. Let him tell it.
Members were able to escape from the home. Residents are asked to allow our teams to stay away from the area and allow our teams to complete the crime scene investigation that needs to occur in that location still at this time.
You have got a ripstop stretch fabric.
Oh, no, commercials, no commercials.
Bit of background on the officers before I turn it over to Police Chief Schwartz. That and it's about who they are.
Okay, we don't care. We don't care. Look how shook she is. It's the chief. Look how shook she is.
Our police officers and our fire paramedics, they come to work every day. They do it willingly. They know that they might have to give up their life for their partners, for someone else. They know they have to give up their life sometime, and they do it anyways. And you cannot understand it if you're not in the profession. Every day we want them to go home to their families. Every day we pray that they go home to their families. And today that's not happening. We are all hurting. Our officers, our fire department, our families, all of our staff, our community. We're heartbroken.
This is amazing to me, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. I thought when I was a cop, a lot of what was the training was emotionless. You know, it was almost a military mind of emotionalists. And here you see these people that have this training that's usually non-emotional, especially if it was you. All of a sudden, they're very emotional, which I find interesting. Now, the fire department, it ain't often that an EMS firefighter gets shot and killed. That's very, very rare. When I was a cop, I had no emotions about it one way or another. You know, I was pretty much like was unhumanized in a lot of way. You know, it's like so I find this kind of interesting because some of this could appear to be acting. But let's go. Let him go. Let's hear it.
We are heartbroken. We are going to need time to be together. Please. Our families need time to grieve. They need time to be together. We need you to pray for them. That's what we need right now. Superintendent Evan shared a little bit about each of the officers. I will just share that Officer Paul.
This is the fire guy.
Firefighter is going to speak about the fire department family.
It's funny how, you know, I'm older that, you know, certain age of people are taking over. Look how young this dude looks. What, maybe 40? And this is the assistant chief. And there was the guy right there in the white shirt looked like he was the other assistant chief or deputy chief. Right here it says assistant fire. He's assistant fire. I think this is his number 3. This is his number 2 right here. This is fire, and you can't see him. Another angle, he's right behind him, but it's, again, all these Europeans. But, you know, that's what's mostly up here.
Good afternoon. I am BJ Jungman. I'm the fire chief for the city of Burnsville. This is the toughest day that the city of Burnsville and our public safety family has ever experienced. My hearts and prayers go out to the families who lost a loved one in the line of duty today. Our folks come to work every day and are willing to give up the ultimate sacrifice of their life, but no one expects it to happen. It's a tragic day. We're all grieving, and we're all trying to understand what happened and why. I would like to share a little bit of information about the firefighter paramedic we lost in the line of duty today. Firefighter paramedic Adam Finseth, badge 83, was one of our SWAT paramedics and has been.
All right. Did you catch that? That's all I wanted to see from them. He was one of the SWAT paramedics. So do you know how often the SWAT paramedic is probably used around, in Burnsville? Not very often. So he was there when the SWAT unit came in. That's why he was there. And they say, I caught one of the other interviewers that's saying that he was actually trying to help one of the officers and the dude killed him. So he kills the guy in the house, shoots the guy in the driveway. SWAT must have been there. The guy rushes up to the police officer and he shoots and kills that guy. Then he retreats back into the house and he's shooting at him from, from various fire angles, and kept them at bay. And then it looks like they finally were able to make sure the children, because they got them thermal things they can look in, dude, and see, where the people are. So they was able to not kill any of the children and kill him. And again, maybe he killed himself. We don't know. So that wasn't a regular firefighter paramedic. But these people are shook up here. They are really shook. Yeah, it's like I could show you a bunch of different coverages. Where is Carrie Levitt? And they're basically going to show the same thing. Everybody's going to show the same thing. 3. And here's another one. Here's just to show you, just to kind of show you what's been happening here in the Midwest. And this is, I've covered almost all these stories they're about to talk about. In the last 6 months, this many people have been killed in this state or the border states. I think these two got killed on the border state. But the rest of these, I remember, yeah. This is all in the Midwest. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 officers killed in the Midwest in the past 6 months.
Job since the start of 2023. One of the biggest sources of comfort and support for the families of fallen officers is the Minnesota Law Enforcement Memorial Foundation. The volunteer organization is one of the first to meet with families. And
okay, that's some bullshit.
He has sat with many grieving families and often.
So, it's been hazardous. It's been hazardous up here to, the job is becoming more and more hazardous. Not less and less. It's becoming more and more hazardous. So, okay.
Bab Santos.
I got another guy that might give us some details. One of the neighbors. Let's see if this is the same neighbor. Let's see what this neighbor has to say. Let's check it out. This is from Fox. Fox's coverage of it. Oh, shit. I went backwards. Oh, I need that story back. Thank you. All right. Here we go. See if they give us anything new.
This morning, gathering details. He joins us now live with what he has gathered. This is affecting the neighborhood pretty profoundly there as well, Babs.
Yeah, Randy Kelso, we have a neighbor here who may have heard some of what happened this morning, so we just want to ask him a few questions. First, just kind of explain for me where you live in relation to where this happened.
Yeah, sure. From what I gather, we're about a block and a half away on Pinehurst Drive and Burnsville Parkway. Kind of heard the commotion this morning early around.
Oh, so this is over. I know where this is. It took me a while to figure out where this is, so I know where this is. This is about maybe a mile from me. It's not that far. I don't live that far from Burnsville Parkway. Okay, I live real close to Burnsville Parkway. So it's pretty close to me. And most of these houses in this area are around 400-ish. Burnsville, it's not a lot of, well, yeah, I guess around the small lake it is. But in this neighborhood, most of the houses are 4 something, it appears. So to give you kind of what type of neighborhood we're dealing with.
Around 5:30, 5:40, loud bangs and gunfire after that woke us up and kept us up with all the police activity.
You were awake. Could you recognize it as gunshots, and what did you do next?
So yeah, it actually woke me up. There were a few loud bangs. That sounded like really heavy gunfire, but from what I'm hearing and reading, it sounds like maybe flashbangs were involved, but wasn't close enough to see any of that, really just hear it. And that was about just after 5:30 in the morning. After the loud bangs, and in conjunction with the loud bangs, we heard a lot of rapid fire, a lot of gunshots. Couldn't even tell you how many. But it sounded like gunshots. I'm not very familiar with gunshots, but it certainly sounded like something you don't hear around here very often. So woke up, went to the window. My bedroom window looks out over Burnsville Parkway and down Pinehurst Drive, and it sounds like it's about a block away from where it all happened. So I saw a lot of police vehicles and police officers, for the next several hours.
Only a block away. Any chance you might have known this family or known anyone in that street?
No, just vaguely familiar, just with the neighborhood. Don't know anybody personally in that direction, but it's a wonderful neighborhood. A lot of great friends and family nearby that we care a lot about. It's just heartbreaking to hear that something like this has happened so close to home.
So seeing this many police officers here this morning, walking past that SWAT vehicle, seeing the bullet holes in the windshield, how do you feel to know all of this happened so close to home for you?
It's really scary. I mean, having that happen that close to where you sleep at night is terrible. My kids are actually not at home this weekend, thank God. They're with their grandparents, so it's just me at the house, and have been kind of watching this unfold on TV and on the internet and reading everything I can. It's terrible. It's nothing like this has ever happened around here from my experience.
What do you think this means next for the city of Burnsville? Where does the city go from here?
Well, it's a very strong community. From what I've seen on your coverage, this sounds like the police officers are really banding together. Of course they would in this situation.
Okay.
Neighborhood, and I say we because I've been texting.
Now in that neighborhood, in the proximity of the house where the incident occurred, which would lead us to believe that the situation has been fully resolved.
They're just sort of wondering, in your neighborhood right now, are you free to leave and come back, or?
I have not gotten in my car. It seems like you're able to walk around. I just turned towards the park here, Terrace Oaks Park, and received no indication that I couldn't do that.
Okay. They ain't telling us nothing new. So that they went in there and they went in there and the flashbangs is when they got him. SWAT went in there and got him. I would say they killed him more than that he oh wow, they got this. Let's see, they say they got audio of it. Okay. Let's see. They say they got some audio. Let's hear it.
We send 3,300 in, just
okay.
3,300 in, just.
They say they have audio. Yeah, I know where this is. I know exactly where this is. Let's see. They say they got audio of it. Let's see.
Behind this first house here. Yep, come around the south. Or as you come around the corner, you'll see us. Sounds good. Want to take this M53. Good for him. We have a body to spare. Burnsville's preferred to replace the M50 inside, so that way you can just kind of handle things in the background. Yep. Copy, just come to the garage. Hopefully. Copy's the best to come from the north. Yep. There's no windows on this north side. It's the garage, and we have the garage. 10-4. I'll go and you can call 178's phone. You need to get a hold of City 3. Right over there, 158. You guys need any other resources? No, just a body or two if you can spare them.
Where do we want the ambulance to come up?
No, we gotta get on the phone with him. We gotta get on the phone with him. He's waiting in the hallway, waiting for an ambush.
The police have told me we have 3 officers shot, 1 in serious condition. Where's the evac going to be, guys? We don't want the rig pulling right up.
Who needs 3 shots for every?
We're getting rifle fire from the house. Anybody got a gun?
1048, we do have 5 rigs coming.
Rifle shots out of the house. I want to know where this evac is going to be for our officer.
45 S48. Do we have a window he's shooting out of? Negative on the 3-4 corner.
If anybody's trying to make contact with this guy. Yeah, ambulance needs to turn its lights off now. Stop, back up! Well, then the ambulance back up! Have the ambulance back up. Have the ambulance back up.
Stop right window, stop right window. We need more armor. We have a fire truck. We need a fire truck or something parked out in front of this house. We're all pinned down.
Can you get the officers out in the armor? Can you get the officers out in the armor?
45 S48. If we could page out Bloomington and Egan right now, please. ASAP.
We got Bloomington. S48, we have Hennepin and Bloomington.
Copy. S48 to Sam 53. Let's get some smoke out there right now. Front window, 1-2 side. Front window, 1-2 side.
Don't have smoke.
1-4 side. 1-4 side.
Sam 40, where are the shots from? Can anybody see? Both top windows. He's moving left and right. Copy.
I got rifle shield, 2 more bags. It's 3. I don't think I can move up to you guys safely though.
Heavy gunfire from the front.
We got medics here.
Medics are at 33rd and 125th.
Don't let them get any closer. The ambulance needs to turn the lights off. We can't have emergency lights coming in.
S35, S39. There's anybody that can grab the ambulance on fire. Have them start it.
Hey, we've been able to evac those injured officers yet.
In the Bearcat. We have an ambulance on Parkway. Can that come up?
Sam 40, send an Everbridge to everybody around here to get in their basement.
Happy.
What do we have for officers still on the perimeter?
You got 2 in the 3-4 corner.
I have 4 watching the 1-2 corner from one house to the north. We do not have good eyes on that one side. That's where the fire's coming from.
Sam 40 and Sam 48 are across the street next to a house with eyes on the front.
Can you see that front window closest to the door? That's where all the fire's coming from.
Yeah, we have that window. We need a sniper if we have one to get over here.
Sierra 1, I'm at the 1-3 corner, about 67 out. I got eyes on both windows.
Do we have any other officers on the interior, or they've all been evacuated?
158 and 192, we were the last 2 in that kitchen. I don't think there was anybody else in there. I think we have everybody accounted for. I'd ask Sam 50.
That's 48 to 150. I need a head count. Make sure we got everybody out.
Myself and Cody made it out. I'm with Worse. Sam 50, can you advise if you have Pete, Rugi, and Elmstrand?
Yes, all of them are accounted for.
Copy. Everybody is out of the building.
Dispatch.
Alright, cars on the 3-4 corner. If we have it, can we notify Scott County? We're going to need their armor and probably their tact also, please.
Copy, and Bloomington's en route with their Bearcat as well.
Nick Allen from Egan, where are you? I need a location.
Allen's.
Where are you?
I'm on Burnsville Parkway, right by Stoller.
Copy. Yeah, we have everybody that was accounted for. I was not on the Bearcat team, I couldn't tell you, but there's nobody in front of the house that I can see.
45 Sam 53. We have 6 of us with the Bearcat. We're at 125th and 3rd.
Let me see when they get him.
146 is just showing up.
Are you guys in position?
A firm. We're now 33rd and 126.
Command copies. Thank you. Sierra 1 to command. Sierra 1 to command. Go ahead. I just saw what appeared to be some type of flashlight on the one side lower right window.
Copy that.
Dispatch to command. Go ahead. Brooklyn Park offering armor. Are they needed? We'll take any additional armor, please. Thank you. 644 again with agency. Brooklyn Park. Okay. Please. Thank you. 155 does Sam 48. Command, go ahead. I'm Parkway to South 33rd. Is it possible for one available? Can we get a Bearcat down here so I can jump in? And I'm not in a great spot.
All right. I will.
Copy that. Bloomington Bearcat. You copy that? I copy. What location does he need to be picked up at again?
I'm on Parkway, just south of 33rd. You'll see the silver minivan right there.
Copy, where no.
01, just heard a shots fired. Don't know where it came from.
Can you say that again?
Heard shots fired from inside. Don't know where it came from.
Command, copy.
Bloomington Bearcats Command.
Empire to Sam 48.
Command, copy.
Where would you like the MRAP to siege?
On your Parkway and Pinehurst, please, for now. Thank you.
Copy.
Bloomington Bearcats Command.
And go ahead.
That officer was picked up, and we returned him to Pinehurst where we're staging there.
Command, copy. Thank you.
Captain Valley, Command.
Command, go ahead.
That sounds like the sniper. Like somebody picked up the sniper, but we'll see.
We got another command vehicle coming over. Do you want that anywhere for recovery or somewhere other than your area?
02 to command. Go ahead. I'll be in position, same building as 01. Copy that. Thank you. Command to all units on the perimeter. Do we have any Sierra units here? That's for you. Copy that?
Copy. Empire to Sam 48.
Command.
We have a caller calling from inside saying the dad is down.
Copy that. Do we have any further description of injuries?
Just saying he is not breathing. He is in the bedroom. Call takers trying to get further.
All right, so they just told us he killed himself. So they just told him he killed himself. Okay, because they said a shot came out. They heard a shot in the house. You never know if they took one of them evil broods up in there and went and got him. But, so, that looks like what happened is he killed them 3 people, was surrounded, and the way he gave up is like they say most of the time. He killed himself. So, take that for what it is. Take that for what it is. So that's the exciting thing that happened. This neighborhood, again, you know, it's a working people's neighborhood. Most of the houses in this area is for something, you know, most of them 2-car garages. So my in-law, my wife's aunt lives really close to this. I think she lives in this neighborhood, I'm pretty sure. Because that park right there is the park we go by to go to her house, I think. Because there's parks everywhere. So I don't know if this is going to the north or to the south on the park. But yeah, this is not very far. So that was the news. And I guess you could definitely say that was debauchery. But luckily none of the children were harmed. And that's what's happening here today. That's what's happening in my hood today. But again, I wasn't affected by it. I didn't do much today. I just kind of chilled. We moved that couch and watched the All-Star game, you know. Getting the house is going to be clean, so we starting to move things around. So when that comes, to get the carpet clean. And then hopefully, we might even get the house. Well, if we get the carpet clean Tuesday, the carpet's going to be wet for a minute. So we might can pick the couch up Wednesday. We'll see how it goes. my son's like, if you feed me or give me money to help him. This one I'm probably gonna have to help him. I'm gonna get a back brace. I'm definitely gonna get some kind of back brace, but I think we can do it. I'm gonna have to get some more straps. I have some straps, but I gotta figure out where they are. And no rain or nothing, so was that the suspect? Yeah, the suspect was the father. That was the initial call. The call was a domestic. Somebody called a domestic and the father went off, and they said that they didn't have many calls. Like when I listened to the, it's funny the way they put the wording, because again, they didn't want to seem like put them on a hot seat. They said, well, had there been previous calls at this house before? And they said, not many. They didn't say none. They said not many. So looks like there'd been something going on there before. So. And so that's, you know, kind of, that's all I know about it. But it was interesting watching how shook the people were. I mean, they were just shook. I was watching that news conference, and it's amazing how the emotion hit them. I was quite amazed the way the motion hit them all. I was like, and it caught off guard a little bit because usually, these and it's a small, again, administratively, 75 police officers. I bet is 50 plus firemen, paramedics, rescue, and that guy, the EMS guy, again, he was a firefighter. He was cross-trained. He was firefighter and an EMS. So he had a certificate, to run lines and stuff and people as well. And so, yeah, and empathy, indeed. These guys was all young, like 5-6 year veterans, was allowed to just be cops, and that's how it's supposed to be. Instead of having to go through some bullshit, they just, they were allowed to be cops. They was both 5-6 years in. One dude was in 3 years. One dude was in 27. So one dude had 5 years in. One dude was a service. Because we have up here what's called a service officer. He writes like dog tickets and opens people's doors and shit like that. And then he became, officer. So one dude had, I think, 6 years in. He was 27. Another dude had 3 years in. The firefighter had 6 years total. I'm not sure how long he had been in this area, but he had been a firefighter in other places. So yeah, so that's kind of what we went through here today. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on in my world. Not a whole lot other than that. Didn't do a whole lot. Not going to do a whole lot tomorrow. Didn't cook my steaks today. Didn't really have to. My daughter, she hung out yesterday, and so was with some friends, and so mother picked her up from her friends, and she didn't come back over until like when we was doing the couches and stuff. So, but she'll be here. She's here tonight, and she'll be here tomorrow too. So, but me and her got something to do in the morning. So more her than me. My part is very little. But yeah, what's going on in everybody else's world today? Everybody getting to, what does people do when you're off on President's Day? Go to the Mall of America and shop. Maybe we might go out there. I'm going to be near there when I pick up my daughter. No, not really. No, guess it's a little further. So I'm not sure. My wife finally feels better. She's a lot better. She's up and doing shit. So tomorrow will help her, and she'll have all her strength and stuff back on Tuesday when she has to go in. So she feels a lot better today. So I was kind of joyful. She, I think she had the stomach flu and had her down for a couple of days. So glad to see her back up and at 'em. And that's what it's all about. Yeah, that's what it's all about, is trying to, maintain. As I said, because of her sickness, whatever energy that brought in, I've got to move that energy up out of here. So as I said before, when you put selenite in all the windows, it will hold things in. But there's times where, you want energies to move through too. So keep that in mind when you have a barrier. Like, what was the movie? God, what was that horror movie? I broke it down. What was it called? What was that movie called? I can't think of what it's called, but what it did is, and I got to look it up again because I broke it down. And I know a couple other people broke it down, but he put a barrier in. He told the chick if she leave the barrier, what was going to happen to her? She wasn't going to be protected, and she tries to come back in the house, and then she gets attacked. And the story is really interesting because it shows you how dedicated, if you really want to dabble in some of this stuff deeply, the extent and the moves you have to do. And what they were trying to do is communicate with an angel, to bring angel energy in, to give them a little clarity. But she broke the barrier. And so the barrier, like once you set a barrier, you got to kind of, remember that. So if you want things to leave, you got to open it up, kind of force all the energy that way of the opening. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. Put some Palo Santo and a little bit of this sweetgrass, sage. I got to find the bigger sticks. I got them somewhere around here. So I mentioned that because, I want to give you a way to cover yourself. But again, energy, can get stagnant too. So sometimes you want it to move. So that's all. And sound can do the same thing. I could go from room to room, move it out with sound. So there's a couple ways to move things away from us. But yeah, not really a busy day other than, like what I showed. Dang. Looks like 6 people dead after multiple shootings across Birmingham. And this was 2 days ago. Birmingham had multiple shootings. Wow, let's check that out. Oh my goodness. Trump like the Terminator. Look at this. Trump like the Terminator. I'll be back. This is clever. This is clever. This is clever.
Muriel, and the 2 times they've had to address the public today, Birmingham police calling these acts ridiculous and disgusting. 6 people now dead in a matter of hours, 6 families now left in shambles. Major crime scenes across Birmingham Friday afternoon, one in College Hills, the other in Wylam.
Today has been unreal, even for the Birmingham Police Department.
The families of 20-year-old Christian Norris and 20-year-old Angelia Webster now waiting for the final confirmation their loved ones were found dead.
You ever had your heart just stepped on and your stomach went to the bottom of your stomach? Yeah, that's what that was like.
Webster and her boy.
Wait, can you guys tell me what he said? I thought they were in America. What did he say? I'm trying to make sense of this.
Yeah, that's what that was like.
Wait. Tell us again.
Found dead.
You ever had your heart just stepped on and your stomach went to the bottom of your stomach? Yeah.
What?
You ever had your heart just stepped on and your stomach went to the bottom of your stomach? Yeah, that's what that was like.
Webster and her boyfriend were last seen on Valentine's Day in a white Ford Taurus. Friday evening, just after 4, that same car found in an alley in Wylam.
This is not an area that we've gotten any information that was common to the victims.
The 2 people inside, police believe to be the couple, dead from gunshot wounds. Police could not say if the couple was killed at the crime scene or if the shooting happened somewhere else. Across town, about 6 miles away in College Hills, 4 people shot and killed. We know 3 of them are males. Birmingham Police Chief Scott Thurman says it happened at a community car wash.
That's one of the things that we're trying to determine right now, that it appears it was a car wash there, and so we're trying to determine exactly what occurred.
He could not say if this was a drive-by shooting or how many rounds were fired. While no one is in custody, Thurman says someone knows who did this.
Oh, I think people know. It wasn't a random act.
Now, as police have 2 major investigations on their hands, they plead with the public. Something needs to change. And
this nigga's got an all purple outfit on. And what was up? Let me see. What was up with the one shot? Like, what's up with her? Like, maybe she's a relative and she has to be, why is her slides off? It's not funny, but it is kind of funny. Okay, I'm sorry.
And on the east side or the west side, I live on the north side. When is it going to become our city?
No one is in custody.
Well, that's a crappy dam. That's debauchery, y'all. That is definitely debauchery. Damn. They get killed in America every day. People die in America every day. I guess so. But it seems like, black folks seem to, Powerball player denied $340 million because of over a website mistake. But we have who's this guy here? Veteran turf rider dies at 71. A racing enthusiast. Yeah, I don't care about him. Well, what did he write? Damn. Yeah, I'm not going to tell his story. He's kind of boring. He seems kind of boring. Oh. One thing I must do, let's talk about the weather. Up here, I live in the Great White North, and it got so warm today, it ain't too much Great White. A bunch of that snow melted today. So later today is going to be 38, and sunny, and look at that all week, no snow. No snow. Looks like the month is going to end just perfectly. We got 7 inches of snow this month. I ain't mad at them at all. I ain't mad at them at all. Look at this, 22. That's no problem. Visibility. So I ain't mad at it, y'all. I am not mad at it. Oh, I'm not mad at it at all. Oh, let's look up the money. What is the money doing? All right. We only care about gold. All right. Gold is up to, I think yesterday when I finished, it was at 320 something. Let's see. What were we at yesterday? 214. Yeah. No, we were at 224. Yep. 224, 225 is what I thought. And we're at 2033. Again, gold trades for 24 hours. So this is still active. What does it give us? A gram. So, your gold, long as it's over $2,000, again, if you have old gold and you bought it a long time ago, you're going to get, more than what you paid. So it's not a bad bet. Again, Bitcoin is at 52. It's up 1.5%. My Ford fell. The dollar, our dollar against Canada is what? 137. So if you're going to Canada, okay, Ethereum went up 4%. Let's look at those real numbers. 2,900. So if you'd have got in the other day at 2,700, already you would have made $200. If you'd have put, $200 worth, if you'd have bought $200 worth just the other day, you'd have made, see, 138. See that? We saw it at 26 something. We saw it at 26. So, but that's how it's moving. So those of you that move and groove, if you got 401k, now I know a lot of y'all out there got them 401ks. You got to know what it's for. Know what it's for, Know how to make the money really work for you. Don't just take what they say for granted. Like, okay, what do you say? Well, we're going to put you in these. Don't do that. Know exactly where your money's going. You'll be the true investor if it's being offered and they're taking your money. You got to be the true investor. So that's all I'm saying is educate yourself. If you don't know it, know it. If you're working and they offer you 401k, know where your money's going. And, that's all I can tell you. You got to be financially mature. And that's part of it. Oh, no, this is big. This is for the Grammys. This is definitely for the Grammys. Yoko Ono. Okay, she didn't die. She just turned 91. She just turned 91. She was really ugly young woman. They got any... I'm sorry. I thought they said she croaked. She didn't croak. I misread. It just says she's 91. That's all. She's just 91. And you could bet on the All-Star game. Oh, People's Choice Award was today. Now, check this out. This says why this multi-millionaire gifted his own money to a Tulsa survivor. Yeah, don't be hoodwinked by that. Like really. Wow, it says Bob Marley, One Love could be the first $100 million movie of the year. Wow, I wouldn't have thought it did that well. Like this is really what, like if reparations are old, it is not old for slavery. It is not old for slavery. Because a lot of slavery can really be looked at prisoners of war. Especially early slavery in America, a lot of it was prisoners of war. But the main thing that the records that are still there, and I say this all the time, is Jim Crow. Jim Crow can still be proven. Now, there was a period from the 70s or early to late 80s where they were just killing people and they were just arresting him like no records and stuff. They started having forced to be kept records to all the people that they jailed for bogus things, and it became a racket, way for them to earn money. And the people were selling cheaper than slaves. Cheaper, much cheaper than slaves. And it was to put the people in prison to make them do slave work again. And that's how they set it up if you get arrested. And again, when the South, you're not letting the people vote. And unnumbered people suffered under this that were melanated in America. And a lot of this is still documented, and this is what they should have to pay for. So, they can't really say this is only a generation or two ago. Far as like in my life, this is not that far ago. And so we're saying, in the last 100 years, we're not going back, we're saying in the last 100 years, this is what you have done. And this is what the outcome has been. And so that's what the whole country and every state that participated in Jim Crow, they are responsible. I mean, now they're bringing all these people in and saying they're responsible for those people. So how aren't you responsible for the way that advantage that was taken under, and not just melanated Indians, the Western Indians as well, the Chinese as well, brought over here to be slaves. I mean, all this can kind of be documented on how Jim Crow affected it all. And the Western Indians, definitely. I mean, Killer of the Flower Moon shows you how their lives really meant nothing. And that they just created laws that just steal from people, extort money and steal. Remember in the beginning of the movie, her husband shows her husband and his brother, they're living there with her, are going with the Indian woman, but yet they go out and put masks on their face and rob other Indians. So just as that movie showed, and just as, they saw what the state did to them. And the same with these Lakotas. The thing I find interesting with the Lakotas is, they had, 200 and some people killed? Wasn't it something like that? Or no, what was it? It was 30 some people killed at one point, and that place ain't tore down. That you can still go there, and that energy is crazy eerie. And in a way, that was a sacrifice for what the money they have now. And they are the richest tribe. Of all the Western tribes, they are the richest, the most successful. By far. I mean, everybody ain't living like they living. Even the tribe that has, they tried to get into marijuana business quicker. The tribe that's up north, the Ojibways, the Ojibways, they have, those people get land and they have a casino, but their casino doesn't do as near as well. Turtle Island's another casino I think that's in Wisconsin. That tribe, again, it does not do as well as the tribe here. The tribe here does better even than the tribe in Connecticut. This is the richest tribe. So, but that's what they faced. And anytime I mention, what the 30 some people got hung, the war that these Western Indians won against these Europeans and the settlers. They did, defeat them in a major battle. They wiped out a town of about 900 people. Up to that point, that was the biggest loss of European death in one time before 9/11 was that one incident. Fires, loss of life. And I don't know what it was classified under, but a one-time loss of life. And I'm not talking about a great fires, but just where, they killed and you have to have a pretty big organization to kill 900 people. You have to almost be double or triple of that. So they at one point had a big force. And I've said many times, the mistake they made is, they should have really went all out of war during the Civil War. All the Indian tribes should have really, really got their foothold in the West. When they killed Custer, they should have kept going to kill them all. They should have united and stayed united. And the other lazy part was, lack of engineering, not trying to create your own gunpowder, not trying to, really learn how to fix the guns. I mean, at some point, imagine they probably did, but at least gunpowder, and, working spare parts. But that was the point where they probably should have stayed as a large army group, and they could have easily defeated Custer's two other. Custer did have Custer's Reno, I think, had the Gatling gun. So they did have that technology around them, but they had such a force that, and the Lakota force that was big enough to beat that army. You know, they were sending people here during the Civil War. I've found a couple soldiers that during the Civil War, they fought they signed up for the Civil War, but they were sent to fight here. Or they stayed here and fought. So, and it's interesting. I live not far from where some of these battles are. I think New Elmo, I think, is one. I can't think of the city where all of them. I don't think it was New Elmo that the 900 people died, and that's hard to find now. They've tried to bury that, but I've come across it a couple times. I don't have a copy of it, but I came across that a couple times. That's, you know, and that, it was like saying that was the greatest loss of life. And now that's not that easy to find anymore. You know, they've kind of buried that stuff. So, but that's where reparations would come from, is Jim Crow, because that can still be proven that their system, going back to the 14th Amendment, you know, when they put in there, unless you do a crime, that was solely to re-slave the people. The intent of the law was to re-slave the people. And they did it then right after Reconstruction. And really the only reason they stopped putting so many people in prison was because of World War II. The federal government made them stop. I mean, if we don't get involved in World War II, black people are still slaves. And again, slavery didn't really end until, not really, till the 60s. Slavery didn't end until the 60s. It was still practiced in the South until really the 60s. And maybe even slightly later, because I've said before, my ex-wife, what she grew up, if you looked at what she grew up in, you would say that her family were slaves. They were that poor. You know, my ex-wife is only 2 years younger than me. And she never lived in a home. She didn't live in a place that had running water until she went to college. And, you know, if many of you, wherever you're from, if you would have saw the house she grew up in, you would be like, wow, this is some slave shit. And it really was. They had an outhouse. They had a bucket with a well. And they worked on the property. Matter of fact, his sister, her father's sister, lived on the property as well, where the families had worked there for I think it was almost 70, 80 years, the families had worked together, where the people had been former slaves and then just kept working after slavery. So a lot of people would have looked at the way she lived and grew up as still kind of in slavery. The poverty that she grew up in. The poverty that was allowed. You know, you think here's another example of what they did in the South, and it still goes. What they did in North Carolina is they started, you know, creating these private schools, charter schools and private schools. So like my wife, the public school was segregated, nothing but mostly, you know, melanated people in it. There's a couple Europeans she graduated with. It's a small school. I think she said she graduated 30, 40 people. But that's what most of the Europeans in that infield, Rocky Mount. Now, Greensboro High School, I can't really say. I didn't know them that well, but it seemed like the same practice was done there too. You know, the public schools was mostly melanated. Private schools, again, was where the Europeans sent their schools after integration. That's what they did. That was their way of solving integration. It's like, okay, we'll build our own schools for our own children. We won't have to deal with them. And where I mean, you know, think of the racist nature of where they were. You're in a town, and the town may have 200 people. But that's how racist the Europeans were of 200 people. That they were so racist that this town of 200 people put their money together to buy another school that would just be all Europeans. Isn't that some shit? And so their children, you know. And that's a generational wealth kind of thing. You know, our children are going to be raised amongst our own in a small community like that. Do you see the mental aspect of trying to keep it? And you wonder why, you know, some places it seems like things ain't changed too much. And, you know, it's so interesting, you know, the inner hate of each other in Chicago. I mean, how do you get, to hate so much that you do the dirty work, which really started in LA by the Army intelligence and the CIA, with all the killing in LA that happened in the early 80s. And it spread throughout the country. And then, you still see it kind of going on in other places in Chicago in general. Unlike that little small town I even showed you. Like every murder ain't because people try to rob somebody. It's still that hate because, again, like I always talk about Battle Creek, Michigan again. A town of 55,000 people that you could walk in a big long circle in an hour and you done hit all the town. I mean, really, I could tell you where we could start at the park and we would do a big circle, hit every side, what they say is sides of towns, which is literally across the street from one another. So, it's all a mental thing. It's all a mental thing. I would know if it was President Day. I would say something about it. Yeah. Yeah, it's President's Day tomorrow. No mail, no mail tomorrow unless you're getting a package. So yeah, it's President's Day tomorrow. So that's what's going on. Day to rest. Some of y'all to rest and stuff. So it's gonna be cool. Just being involved with my daughter. That's always cool. Just kicking it with her. Watching her grow, helping her be the best she can be. My other son, like kicking it with my youngest son. And it's funny, like the beautiful thing about my youngest son, I just sat with him. Once I got custody of him, I just thought about it. It's like, wow, man. I said, I am going to be with you longer than probably any of the children continuous living with me. I said, just because of your age. And he has continuously basically lived with me other than 6 months. Since 2007. He has continuously lived with me other than 6 months, and, he just had his first apartment last year or so. He had lived with me up to that point. He lived with me until basically he was 20. So it's just amazing, because when you have younger children like that, how long, the relationship, and it's like, and, my other children live with me 16, 17 years as well. No, not saying they didn't. My 22-year-old lived with me from basically the time, I had him at 6 months till I think he moved to his mother, when he was 17, And then my oldest was the same kind of way. I took him from her at 2. Up to that point, we were sharing him. And at 2 years old, I was like, if you ain't never picking him up, what's the sense of trying to give you back to him? I got shit to do with him. I have to make sure he's okay, and I'm not going to be worried. So I'll just keep him, and you can go out and get high. That's what it was. So I'll just keep him, and you go out and get high. And what she did is when we got back together, and this is what a lot of y'all can get hit with, is she stayed, we would break up and she would stay on welfare. And she would stay on welfare and we know he's living together. And that's how crooked she did it. At one point, I owed damn near $50,000. I owed almost $50,000 in child support. And then I went to court one time and they was like, you've been married how long? And they took off. They put me down to $17,000. So it was just my oldest son with her. But that's, again, it's one time I got $7,000 back for income tax. And you know what that had done for my family? And then I had to pay it for one of this old bullshit she was doing. Because technically she was creating fraud. She's getting welfare while we were together. So she was technically creating fraud. But they don't seem to care about that too much. Because she was on SSI, she didn't have to pay child support. If you get SSI from the government, they can't garnish it. You can't garnish it. So she was able to technically be out of it. Yeah, wild. Battle Creek is wild. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Battle Creek is wild. I was telling my son earlier, they called it Little Detroit. Like I was saying, there's 200 officers in Battle Creek. Now, yes, in a way, it's over police, but there's a lot to deal with. It had the same thing happen to it that other cities did. They took away the main manufacturing. And this is interesting, like what they did. And they did this across the country. They took away most of the manufacturing, right? The big money was in Kellogg's and Post, Ralston's. They cut back, wasn't hiring people. Kellogg started to leave. And what did they do everywhere else? Brought in crack. But then they built an industrial park. And in the industrial park, all the jobs only paid about $5 an hour. And as I said before, the way they got these Japanese companies to come in, and we found the plan. The plan is to create a circle in this industrial park. You don't have to hire that many permanent workers. We're going to flood the place with temporary agencies. So what the goal is you constantly pushing people around. So you're not paying benefits. You constantly got a pool of people that aren't permanent workers, and you can keep them low paying. And at the same time, you saw a greater influx of Mexicans, South Americans, but mostly Mexicans coming to this area, and they were gladly going and taking these lower paying factory jobs. Before then, most of them were picking fruit and stuff, seasonal workers, migrant workers. And then all of a sudden they started taking these low-end jobs that Europeans didn't really want to take. Poor Europeans didn't want to take them. Brothers and sisters didn't want to take them. And so all of a sudden you see these factories full of, these Mexican brothers and sisters that's willing to work for $5 an hour. And so the opportunities that the brothers and sisters and the Europeans had a lot of times was to hustle, to maintain the lifestyle they wanted to maintain. Because you could work at these factories making $5 an hour, and what family can you support? One of my security contracts, I had a cat working for me, and he worked for me in a couple of my security businesses. And I used to feel so bad. He worked one place at me at one time. So during the day, he did one of my, no, that was another guy, Ron, the Vietnam veteran. This is what Ron did. Ron worked at the hotel. He worked at the hotel from 8 in the morning till 3 or 4. Then he came and took my contract from 4 to 12. He did that every day. He worked 16 hours every day. He didn't work Saturdays and Sundays, at least for me. And that's what it took. And this cat was older than me. This was a Vietnam vet. That's what this Vietnam vet had to do. He had to work in a hotel, busting his ass for 8 hours, and then he could sit at my spot, because my spot, you just really had to be there. Wasn't much you had to do. He'd go smoke his cigarettes and read, watch TV, and he had to do shit. But that's what it took for him, to make an honest living. And again, you bring these drugs in, and you don't leave opportunities. And now the same area, I thought when before I moved, I said the person that changes everything from crack to heroin or crystal meth, I said that's who's really that's where the money's changing to. And sure enough, the Europeans kept doing crystal meth. They found out that, you can get meth and it's just like the crack, but it keeps you high longer and it's cheaper. And then you had a lot of people that, like heroin. Heroin never went away. So that's what people don't realize is they wasn't fucking with the heroin dealers during the crack era. Because you could get that black tar heroin, get that shit and, process it. It wasn't really fucking with people because, again, you could sell heroin all day in the 80s and 90s. Junkie ain't coming over every 10, 15 minutes. You might see him a couple times a week max. And that was some of the smoothest people to deal with. You wouldn't have just fiends knocking every 20 minutes, 30 minutes, constantly coming. You didn't have that. Heroin, it was better to deal with heroin people even than powder people. Because powder people, every day. Heroin people, not every day. And Al Prophet really shows, he gives statistics on how Detroit was a functional heroin place. Like you had all these professionals that were casual heroin users, not addict, casual users. They were still doing their job, but they would do heroin during the day. And it ain't like the lean, you see him just, nah, some of them people, they being able to function. Said, my old roommate, him and the nurse, both casual users. And I can say, I've said many times, my roommate, I was with this nigga every day. There's no way he shot heroin every day. What I saw, he was shooting that shit on the weekends. So is that an addict? I mean, whatever it is, he could tolerate it till he could get it on the weekends. Or maybe he kept a couple shots during the week when he went home. I can't say. It didn't appear like that. And so we had a society that wasn't going crazy. And you didn't see Detroit, a lot of violence until really the cocaine came in. Because damn if it was as violent during the heroin thing. Because that's the way that they brought it in, is the violence came with the crack and the cocaine. And we know where that comes from. I mean, this is all government-like related tactics. Because the government, they glorifying BMF and they glorifying Scarface. Deep Cover shows you. All these popular drug dealers was government agents. All of them was government agents. And the government had their hand on every one of them. And that's what our history should tell you. These people just didn't come out of nowhere. They want to talk about Grisella, the godmother, is just free to do it. They let her get away. She had a shipment of 100 tons come into New York Harbor in one of them pilgrim boats. And all she did is move to Miami. That's all she did is move to Miami. Like they couldn't, like they didn't know. So that tells you right there. They did a fake bus. She moved. She flooded New York with cocaine, which that was it. Cheap cocaine. She was the one that flooded New York. That later you saw in Paid in Full, or no, what was it called? Yeah, Paid in Full. You seen them agents come in there. And it's funny the way, the crack did, the neighborhood compared to heroin. It devastated in a different kind of way. All of a sudden, you just had people say, fuck everything. Where before, was people maintained. Shot up and then maintained. So they invented something that they was hoping that would kill the morale of people. Where the people would literally become zombies to their addiction. Something, that the U.S. did create. Because again, you go on the price of cocaine and the average person just to get a gram, shit, $25 worth of powder ain't really nothing compared to the price of a $10 rock or even a $20 rock out of the strongness that it give you. You snort $20 worth of cocaine, you're not really getting much. You smoke $20 worth of crack by yourself, you're getting quite high and probably paranoid. So it was a big difference there. And the impact that the chemical had on your system and the way it affect people. The way it made people feel numb. The people that had pain and they wanted that pain to be numb. And so that was an excuse for not taking care of yourself in your life. And this was, what was interesting is you didn't see crack people all homeless and shit. You didn't see homeless camps of crack smokers. Did you notice that? People on crack, for the most, had homes. Now, maybe they bounced around, but think about it. People that were on crack weren't really homeless. You notice that? Think about it. Think about back in the 90s and the early 2000s. Think about the crack. You didn't see a lot of crack people that was homeless. They always find a way to live somewhere. Because I don't remember, just crack people having nowhere to go. Not like we see now. Nowhere to go. But yet they can be on heroin, but didn't know where to go on heroin. I'd rather be on heroin than live in the streets. Live in a tent somewhere. So it almost seems like it's manufactured. You dig? It's kind of like they manufactured that in a way. Because again, a lot of crack people weren't homeless back years ago, 90s and early 2000s. But yet we have all these heroin people that are homeless. So That is kind of amazing. That is kind of amazing. Did anybody see on, they had the HBCU, they was talking about Jerry Rice? Oh my goodness. Yeah, the Jennifer Hudson at halftime. Jennifer Hudson at halftime, y'all. That was such a disappointment. Jennifer Hudson at halftime was such a disappointment. You know, last year they had Tins and they had Burner Boy, and they was kind of jamming. That African beat was kind of jamming, but Jennifer Hudson, I mean, it was no time where I was like, you know, even Usher, I was swerving. Y'all saw me, I was swerving. Y'all saw me on Super Bowl night, I was swerving to Usher. I was sitting there, and then, you know how, what's it called, where the dude Joe Pesci in The Rent, you know, he's hearing the music and the one leg started to move. Y'all saw me on the Super Bowl. I was feeling Usher. I wasn't never feeling Jennifer Hudson. I was like, damn, I'm not moved by you at all, honey. And then, like, I didn't understand the funny dressed people that was around her. Like, that was supposed to be, they had the ugly warm-ups, and I'm like, is that the choir? Or like, why did they choose the, I don't know. It was just, I'm looking at it like, yeah, this is this is like unreal. This is not even believable. Let's see if they'll show this. Now, this has been getting a lot of attention, and I wonder why this has been getting so much attention. So the Chinese real estate developer left Los Angeles with empty graffiti-covered towers and a $1 billion bill. So Los Angeles agreed to spend $3.8 to fence and begin cleaning up an abandoned real estate project that had been mainly used by graffiti artists, base jumpers, since the Chinese developer abandoned it. The nearly $4 million sum is just the beginning of a massive financial undertaking in the city. The original project was expected to develop roughly $1 billion. However, the first reported DeLon said that the conservative estimates it would cost $2 billion to take control of the abandoned project. China's holding the Hong Kong real estate behind the building is being liquidated after running out of funds to complete the project 5 years ago. The towers, home of the Lakers, the towers are near the home of the Lakers and the location of this year's Grammys. Holdings did not immediately respond to requests. Since the project was abandoned, unofficial towers has become an attraction for graffiti who attacked the visible portions of the 53-foot tower. So when you see this kind of thing, like really, like they let this happen, like really, they did all this and people ain't checking, can they do the plumbing, can they do the wiring, but they can get this much up. So it was like they built this so they could do all this graffiti. And there's some other point of having this place abandoned like this. Is something else going on here. I'd like to put some of my psychics on this, but this is just, you know, it's when you see this, they wanted this. They almost built it so they could do this. You know, nobody walks away after doing this much work. You know, it's like nobody else invested in it. You know, it's like nobody invested in it. It's just very limited. So when we see this, we know that it's like the Gipper says, it's not milk, it's bullshit. You started to build it, but you know, you didn't know before you started that you couldn't do it. Awesome goods. I would never buy no bullshit from that Tamu. I would never buy no bullshit from them. You can't trust them. I've got a brand new pair of roller skates. You got a brand new friend. So, Hockey Hall of Famer Larry McDonald out of the hospital after having a cardiac. Hockey Hall of Famer Lenny McDonald, Lanny. Alberta, Hockey Hall of Famers out of hospital following a cardiac event. The 70-year-old wrote on his Instagram with a photo of him standing outside somewhere to visit with new improved pipes, some fancy hardware, and so they gave him a stent, sounds like. He was returning from the All-Star game. Two nurses heading their own flights helped him when he was in distress. So they probably had to shock him. So he played a few years. So the Beast wasn't ready to take him. The Beast wasn't quite ready to take the guy. And of course, somebody mentioned this. Where are they at? Where are they at? Where are they at? Oh, here we go. Yeah, I could make these. I could make these. And I think these are going to be a rallying point. You know, it's like, this was, to me, like, people wouldn't even notice this. And you notice they put the red bottoms on it, you know. And these are what, I think it's $3.99 or $4.99, with only 1,000 pairs being made, which is very unlikely. Very unlikely. And he can't sell them out of New York. What did the price here? So he only made 1,000, and at least 10 pairs would be autographed. He's only going to autograph 10. 400, and they sold out. 400, and they sold out. eBay search showed go one just short of 5, and another one page was bidding 9,000 for autograph pair. They sold out online. Look at this, $5,000 for that bullshit. And what size? Size 11 pre-order. So you're not even buying the shoe, you're buying the pre-order of a promise to get the shoe. So I don't know if this shit is worth that. Size 15. Wow. So I think this is a size 15. That's the shoes. Yeah, these are the shoes right here. These ugly shit right here. I saw this yesterday or day before. But this is the shit right here. As you see, 5,000 for this ugly shit. Let me see any more. Oh yeah, there he goes, showing this shit. Of course, they put the red bottoms on. You know, those they'll fight over these red bottoms. So, yep, but that's them. Those of you that didn't know, it's this bullshit right here. Right there. Right there like that. They right there like that. Oh, they're right there like that. The king has cancer. They can't wait to get rid of this motherfucker here, boy. You could tell he wasn't going to be king long. And it's like, damn. You know, he's like, damn, I only been king for a year. Like, damn. All Trumps. Indeed. Oh, I would not fuck with them. So. Oh, shoot. What time is it? Oh, shit, I'm damn near 2 hours. So, yeah, I ain't gonna go too much longer. I prophesized enough. It don't look like it's a lot happening. Yeah, this chick that was going after Trump in Atlanta, they found out that she had an affair and shit. They fucking with her. That shit is so funny. It's like, you know, these people don't understand. You know, there's certain moves that they can take off. Like all these people in New York think they done hit Trump with all these millions of dollars. And you know how you can get out of that shit. Different kind of bankruptcies and shit, and nothing they can do. It's going to be granted. The chick ain't going to, you know, none of them is, and then you hit them with appeal. And then you hit them with appeal, so, you know, it sounds good. You know, it sounds good. Oh, man, some of this shit is so funny. And the propaganda, the amount of propaganda is amazing. And so it's not hard to get caught into propaganda. You know, if you don't understand, you don't need, you know, the numbers, like if you just study the numbers a little bit, you see, you know, the numbers is present, but it's like there's several messages they try to tell you with the numbers too. It's not just one message they try to tell you. They try to tell you a bunch of different messages. But I hope everybody's been positive today. And, you know, it's about loving life. And it doesn't, you know, it's again, I say all the time, it's like, even when it's bad, it's good because it's life. And the confidence of knowing that there's always something next. You know, it's never really over. So there's nothing to fear because we are all timeless. That's what it boils down to. We are all timeless. And so we have all the time. It's so that's why, when it's time to move on, there's no regrets. You don't want more time. They can have all their time back, because what comes next is definitely infinity, which again, Sam the Gipper says absolutely right. What were you before you were born? Hinduism tries to say, you had a choice. You got to see all these screens like the Matrix and said, I want to go into them. I want to be part of that bloodline. Now that could be true. That could be true. It's that part of that could be true. Because definitely we I can remember when I came into my consciousness, I've said that many times. I probably was not quite 2, maybe 1 or 2. Because there's a couple things that happened to me when I was 2, so it's close to 2. And so, I was something else before then. My consciousness had to be somewhere. It was, before that moment where I was like, hey, oh shit, yeah. Yeah, I know, I've seen her before. I know her voice. So, there has to be something there, or is consciousness in the DNA waiting to evolve. And it does seem like, I'm very lucky that the bloodline I'm in. I mean, very lucky. Especially, my mother's side, but both sides, but my mother's side specifically. Because we can show how long we've been here. Without any question, who we are. And the real story, our real story. So, and I think it's something special, because that ties me really to America, and it doesn't really tie me to Africa. Because psychologically, that's what they've tried to do to us, tie us to somewhere else. And for those of you that do have African ancestors, okay, you do. But see which ones are the oldest. Far back as you can find. Look at these old books and really know who you are. And again, I have a thing of Atanagan in there, so somewhere there is some type of connection with Africa with me too. Or I wouldn't have been able, my DNA wouldn't have been able to be activated by a statue. So I'm not saying that, I'm completely free of that, because obviously there was something in me that reacted to seeing that statue. So, Umar, I don't wear everything. Indeed. Oh, yeah. Abundance to all. Indeed, indeed. And so, you just find out who your family is and then go with it there. And what's inside of you will come out if you just try to tap into it. You can tap into what's inside of you. And it's nothing wrong, like I said, with my cousin, with the coats and stuff and putting all that death all around her. She's not freeing, someone that needs to be free. And I've done what I can, but, she keeps pulling him back. And that's not healthy for either side. And, so all she knows is death. You understand? That's all. She doesn't know anything else. Her priority is death. And it's sad when you see someone and a family member and you can only put cryptic messages out there. And that seems to, the thing that wants the death around her, is going to say, hey, don't listen to him. It's okay. But the spirit that wants to be freed is like, hey, what can you do to free me? Because really him is, I don't quite, well, yeah, I did kind of help him move through a little, but she keeps trying to bring him back in, like she really won't let him rest the way he needs to rest. And she doesn't understand that this is a mental illness. So, You know, it's a push and pull there. And she doesn't understand that, you know, she's being possessed by death. You know, she's being possessed by it because that's all she thinks about. She wants constant reminders. And it's also, you know, feeling of letting someone down. If he didn't think I looked and constantly thought about him. And then her mother got sick at the same time. Her mother got really sick. And her mother is narcissistic. You know, our cousin, the boy that passed, he was very narcissistic, rude, raised rude, you know, very one-minded. It was really all about him. And, you know, I call it the way I see it, but that's how he was raised. They raised to make him like that. Another young cousin, you know, you're talking about the violence in Kalamazoo and Battle Creek, you know, another young cousin killed at 19. And, you know, I've told this story, you know, had a friend killed his friend got killed the year before. For some reason, he didn't get killed at that time. He was with his friend and his friend got killed. He survived. Then a year later, he gets killed. And so what can he be involved in, you know, other than same old stupid shit? Kalamazoo's got about 100,000 people. So there are sides, but again, you know, when you get to Kalamazoo, you know, you're getting close to Chicago. So you're thinking, you know, all that kind of stuff. That Chicago gang influence. It goes through that I-94 corridor that don't really go into Detroit. But Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, some of the other small towns seem to be affected. Grand Rapids as well. And by this point, Grand Rapids might be 500,000 people. If not 400,000 or 500,000, it's a fairly big city too. And so, you know, it's again, why is it always against each other? Because that's always the aim, is each other. You know, people like me are, and you know, we're raised like that from the beginning. Well, what is the saying? I wish a nigga would. That's a saying. I wish I would. Remember, Nicki Minaj says it on it, and that's you know, that's a spell, because that's the spell of who your enemy is. Your enemy is never, you know, never the government, never the state. Your enemy is always, you know, people like you for some reason. And you don't, you know, you see the Mexican brothers and sisters kind of fighting with that thing too. But you don't really see the Europeans fighting with each other like that. Even working Europeans. Now, of course, you know, you go to Chicago, we're talking about gypsies and shit. Yeah, they're kind of, and of course, what's left of the mafia. Yeah. And you know, Jewish faith folks tend to work together, live amongst each other, work together. But you don't see a whole lot of violence coming out of that. But you see our group of people, you know, under, you know, you could say some of the same conditions. It's working folks. Again, it's violence involved in the neighborhoods. So, that's, you know, why is that? You know, why is that? Where all these other people can get along, but we can't get along, you know? And it's true, you know, it's true. They give others loans, melanated areas. They will get the loans. They won't give you the loan, but a person from another country, first it was like Koreans, and then we saw Arabs, still Arabs in Dearborn. They gave the whole city of Dearborn too. Like where Greenfield Village is and the old Ford testing grounds, they gave Dearborn to the Arabs. It is a, you know, and from there they gave them a power base, an economic base. They gave them all the gas stations in Detroit. Off the rip, they controlled the gas stations in Detroit. Yet none of them live in Detroit. They live in Dearborn. But they control 97% of the gas stations. It's something like 10 or 15 brothers. I don't even think it's that. I think it's something like 4 or 5 gas stations owned by melanated people in Detroit. So they gave them an economic base, which turned into political base, because they got that girl there that was talking, you know, back Palestine. She was part of the squad. That chick is from Dearborn. The football coach for the Jets, That cat's from Dearborn too. Arab. So, and even going back further, for those of you that don't remember, they talk about the melanated neighborhoods, the segregated neighborhoods. Remember, that's the Jewish face people were there too. I mean, don't forget that. They were allowed, just like, the Asians will tell you right now, they're not allowed in a lot of now they kind of are because they're needed. And they don't want to go to these certain areas. So now Asians are kind of, especially here, they're kind of allowed to go in the suburbs now. Years before they weren't, but the melanated neighborhoods were where they were welcome. Where they were welcome. Again, they always give them an economic base. They control, the Koreans control almost 70-80% of the hair products in America. If not more. If not more. But yeah, so when we had all these, Black Wall Street, I mean, I guess before then, the Jewish folks fakes Jewish. And I'll say this is probably what happened too, is when after the all the riots from 1819, when the segregated community set in, because a lot of the riots was caused by the Jewish faith newspapers. Tulsa, Rosewood, Chicago. And I've said before, all that was done is to kill the soldiers coming back from Europe. And that's a great study. If anybody really wants to do that study, look at the wars when they came back, the Harlem Hellfighters and all the people that came back. Look up the number of soldiers that were lynched for just wearing their uniforms in the South. They just came back from fighting in, because they weren't under American command. They were under French command, World War I. The Harlem Hellfighters, because if you see pictures of them, which you can look at one of my old videos and see pictures of them, they're wearing the French helmets. They're not wearing the American doughboy helmets. I have a theory they have a fight against each other because of how influential we are. Then comes the black versus white game. They know we have power to unify against the BS. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't disagree with what you're saying. If you look at what I don't understand is like they always tell you they're always looking at what has Rick Ross bought? What did Rick Ross buy his girlfriend? What did Michael Jordan, buy his woman? And that's the kind of thing that I don't understand. It's like when it comes to melanated people, because remember, the lifestyle of the rich and famous ain't on no more. Now with social media, but it's always melanated people has got to be showing their wealth. And I agree with what Sly would always say is illusion of wealth. Absolutely. They constantly put that shit in our face. And I've said before, only one style of jewelry out. Everybody got to have the same style of jewelry. I still don't understand that. Because it seems like, people get a certain point, they want to buy jewelry like everybody else. So it becomes a costume. You're not even doing your own style. You're imitating somebody else you see. And I really don't get that. But that becomes a costume. So now they had a blinged out chain and the nameplate that's a costume. If you get some bread and got to do that becomes a costume. And they make the older ones enforce these costumes. What is his name? I'm picturing his face like he got a chain like that. Why would you need that? Let me tell you, this is how a lot of brothers felt. And I'm gonna say this: when I started wearing a lot of gold in the '80s, I came back from North Carolina, and I got chains on, bracelets and shit. And a lot of brothers was like, "Man, how do you wear that shit on you? Them chains remind me of slavery shit." A lot of brothers wouldn't wear gold because of that. He's like, fuck them chains. We ain't wearing that shit. I was interesting. That was interesting. Like, no, to have that shit on me, man, be I've run into a lot of people say they can't even wear chains. They can't even wear the shit. A lot of people, it's a slavery thing. It was really a mentally, and these cats a couple years older than me, they was like, fuck, I ain't putting no chain on me. But a lot of people say that their chains make them feel constricted. That they hate having this shit around them, that they can't, take that shit around them. Now, I was opposite, I was always raised around jewelry. You know, my grandmother, I wore an eagle for years. Avon Eagle, you know, I used to get shit like that. So I've always wore, you know, and it's charms, you know, I always was given charms because that's what these really are, charms. A nameplate is a nameplate, but like something like this is a charm. This is the green stone that Sean sent me from New Zealand, and it's kind of the same as this, but this is more polished. This is more polished, so it's beautiful. So, you know, it's just something I've always done. But I knew people that was like, fuck wearing that shit. They wear a watch and that's about it. They's like, fuck them chains and bracelets. They just couldn't do it. You know, that's each his own. Each his own. Even me, I emulate my grandfather, you know, was always wearing rings and shit and chains. My football coach, you know, and I think back, my football coach was 30 something, you know, and I'm like, I've copied a little bit his style and he was in his 30s. And now here I am, you know, double that age, you know, double that age. So that thing is still, you know, kind of with me of what I, you know, thought was cool in men, showing their, you know, personal thing. My father wore his wedding ring. That was about it. I don't think he ever wore a gold chain in his life. He used to always like Mickey Mouse watches. That's why I got the Mickey's on here. Remember Master P, Mickey be on his shoulder and shit, Eddie Griffin. Hey, Mickey! That's one of the funniest Eddie Griffin jokes. He'd be like, Mickey! Mickey in his ear and shit, you know. That's one of the funniest Eddie Griffin jokes. Yeah, same here. I always rock some jewelry. That's metal. We ain't wearing no damn dog tag or animal chains. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, no dog chains, nothing like that. Because it was really like always like people like Sammy Davis Jr. always wore jewelry even before Mr. T. Mr. T is what really kind of, you know, when the movie came Over Gold, whatever movie that was, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, where, you know, it was just of abundance and everybody started rocking the big cables and stuff. And you can't imagine what those big cables, you know, like back then, you know, you're talking about a, what, 16, 20 millimeter big cable. I mean, the prices was I mean, I guess to the prices then, but I mean, you know, I remember the first Rolex was 6,000. No, it was less. It was 2,500 for the steel Rolex, and it was 6,000 for the presidential, and then the presidential went up to 10. But at first, you could get the presidential for 6. But the steel one, the stainless steel one, was like 2,500. 2,500, you could get the stainless steel. Now, shit, that shit's about 10, 12,000 just for the stainless steel version. But back then, it's a picture suite of King wearing a Rolex. Rolex is showing the Mason thing. King is like this, and you look at his wrist, you can see the Rolex on his wrist. That's probably one of the famous pictures of Rolex. The King was wearing that shit back in the 60s, you know, where it really, you know, the gold was so cheap that, so it was, you know, he was flexing. He won that. He got $250,000 from winning the Nobel Peace Prize, just like Obama did. And Obama was a really cold mug. You know, I mean, Obama should be called the body snatchers. He snatched so many people off the streets of this world. And Guantanamo Bay is still open. It is not closed. And Obama put a bunch of people there. And that makes people think, you know, think about this. They say that we didn't, that we got stopped at the Bay of Pigs. Well, how do we have an army base? Guantanamo Bay is an army base. You know that, right? That's just a jail, but it's an army base on Cuba. Right? Remember, did y'all see Bad Boys? Remember, they had to make it to the army base? And they had to leave them alone. That base is still in Cuba. So the Bay of Pigs, they never attacked that base. Now, they stopped the Cubans of the Americas back in the Bay of Pigs from going into that part of Cuba. But on the other side of Cuba was American base that still exists there today. So you see how they don't tell you the whole story. That American base is still there. And Obama went around the country. If you thought about terrorism, they was picking you up and taking you somewhere. If you just thought about it, they went after people, you know. very effectively had people nervous. They were snatching so many people. They had motherfuckers nervous. And think about it, this is after the Cold War. This is after the Cold War. So you ain't just going after Russians. This was go after anybody. That's what Bush set up. And Obama perfected it. You know, you get in there, and I was reading them books about them generals that worked for both of them, and Obama perfected it. Clark's book is really insightful about what Obama continued, because if I remember right, he worked for both of them. But Obama was taking them off the street left and right like never before. He had the world scared. He had the world scared, because they didn't know where they was gonna get taken from under the guise of terrorism. So that's something that, nobody else really had him scared like that. Obama had the world scared. That's one thing he doesn't get credit for. When Dick Gregory said, they would shame Hitler, the way they was snatching mugs up. And these black sites. And let's not forget, they had a black site in Chicago. I mean, that's how deep the terror was there. Now they wanted to continue the terror. They had a black site. And it got exposed where they're just doing people again, any way they wanted to do people. No civil rights. And the government is, knowing it's the police force and the government working together. So they have civil rights when they want civil rights. But if they want to, take the rights over, they do that indeed. That's why Dick Gregory says, what does Dick Gregory say?
Damn white boys out there. Most of them is psychopaths and all that. They'll kill your mama's mama and you.
I mean, and let's be honest about even Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory was an agent. That's why Malcolm X says, how is this comedian? That's what he's talking about. When he says, how is a comedian a leader? He's talking about Dick Gregory. That's why Malcolm wasn't fucking with Dick Gregory like that's like, well, Malcolm told me to come, capping and shit, capping. Mind you, when the news reported the story was living in Virginia, and they made the story of that, she went crazy because they were in talks of cutting out government assistance. Yeah. 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 PNF says Harlem Hellfighters fought with the French unit, not the U.S. Yeah. And again, staying on that of what happened in 1919 is this is when all these troops came back, and these troops was used to killing Europeans. These troops were used to killing Europeans, and so you see the bloody summer of 1919. Look who they go after. Look who they go after. I mean, there's case files of them killing soldiers because they were afraid that the soldiers would have no problem killing Europeans in America. And you see the same thing after World War II. Look at the records of after 45 when the troops started coming back. And look at the little mini riots they had trying to contain these troops, lock them up or kill them. But it was a bigger campaign after World War I. And it was 300,000 melanated people that went overseas. 300,000 people. So they tried to kill these people. These riots were aimed at killing these people, killing these soldiers that had experienced killing Europeans because they were afraid. Their own government, it was okay for you to fight for it, but when you came back, they were afraid of you. They were afraid of you. And, I talk about my relative all the time bringing this up. This is a brother that was one of the first Green Berets in America. This brother was 6'6", 6'7". Did 2 or 3 tours in Vietnam. Green Beret, trained. The only person to ever survive an overrun in Vietnam. Do you know what an overrun is? That means they kill your whole base. That's what an overrun is. There were bases, they would set up these bases in the jungle, and the Viet Cong or the North Vietnamese army would come in and kill everybody. They'd kill everybody. Couldn't get enough fire support, couldn't get enough support. They'd be waiting for them, and then, overrun and kill everybody. This brother survived. He was the only one. That's how bad he was. And I've told you about, me being able to tap into that dimension and a couple times fight along with that nigga. That shit's wild. That shit is wild and kind of fun at the same time. To just run in the jungle, just killing motherfuckers. That shit is it's like you just don't even. It's more than a video game. It's undescribable. It's indescribable. Just being, just your only thing you got to do is survive and just kill. And what I saw is that the area that they attacked where he was, this nigga killed so many of them. They switched. They quit attacking that area, and he was kind of able to lay low when he saw he couldn't survive fighting all of them. They kind of quit fighting that area because they thought it was more people there. So they kind of moved to the other way. He was able to survive. And to say that this man got got shot in the head, that a person could outdraw him. I mean, that story, we know that he was hit because the government was scared of him. The government was scared of him, I turned that down. Talk about the young lady Obama had killed because she exposed that they had out of wedlock. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Look at his cook. His cook was a well-known swimmer and stuff, and his cook comes up. They live on the ocean, and all of a sudden the man drowns. It's like it's a cat named Carol Rosenborough. He once owned the Colts, traded the Colts so he could own the Rams. Known gambler, fixing football games, but an owner level. And this dude lives on the ocean. And all of a sudden he gets taken by a undercurrent. But then they say, some people in frog suits, scuba diving area that was seen around there. So, they killed that man. When it's time for them to kill him, they killed that man. And again, you look at when a person dies, who benefits? That's the old Sam Giancano, Momo Giancano. That might have possibly been involved in the St. Valentine's Day massacre. He became the boss mid-70s and like what the FBI did to him was cold. So check this out. This is how cold they did him, Sam Giancano. If you study, his relationship when he got locked up and he never told, what they did is they held him in jail for almost 2 years on contempt. Because they said, we're giving you what do they give? Immunity. They gave him immunity. They gave him immunity and they kept him locked up for 2 years because of contempt. They said, there's nothing you can say that's going to get you in trouble. And they held him in 2 years. Up until that point, every move he made, the FBI followed him. All his phones was bugged. And again, he brought it on himself. He did what Al Capone did. See, the mafia wants to be like Ghost. That's the other thing where you look at John Gotti, some of John Gotti was probably fake. Because the mafia likes being, they like being Ghost. They ain't really about that flashy shit. That's why they didn't really like Capone. He was bringing too much attention. And the same thing, with Giancano, Sam Giancano. He became the same kind of dude, trying to get too much attention. Because you notice like all them Chicago bosses went to prison in their 70s and 80s. They arrested them dudes when they was old dudes. And then they let Sam Giancano out and somebody he knows killed him. Because he let the person in, turned his back, had a kitchen in the basement, dude shot him in the head while he was cooking. Because they didn't know if he was going to turn or not. But that's how they got him. And remember how they got Gotti. Gotti's lawyer was beating him every time. And all of a sudden they said his lawyer couldn't represent him because his lawyer was seen hanging out with all the mobsters. So do you see how, it was like OJ thing. Like we can't beat him, so we got to make it where he can't defend him. See how they can just change the rules as they go by? And don't think that the mafia is done. I mean, their most successful business is still waste management. So don't think, they've just had to change. And again, the gypsies, you ain't never seen them putting the gypsies in jail. You don't ever see no bad press about gypsies. And them gypsies are known scam people. I mean, if in the Midwest, if gypsies come around or they selling some shit, it's something to it. I don't know if y'all used to dealing with gypsies, but it's always a kind of deal. But you don't hear about them going to prison for scamming people. And again, any of y'all related to them, but y'all know. If you from the Midwest, you know about gypsies. Come on. They got their own city around Chicago. Everybody knows, so it's like Chinatown. Like they was talking about people was just jumping on people. Ain't nobody jumping on people in Chicago, Chinatown like that when they were saying they was jumping on Asians. Just like I would say here, it's a part of St. Paul where that's where they put all them. Hey, what, nobody, you go over there and you think you can jump on some old lady over there and see what happened to you. That was all propaganda. Some places got pretty big. I mean, I think here it's 500,000, Hmong, Vietnamese. It's about 500,000 of them here. It's more of them than brothers and sisters. It's only about 250,000 brothers and sisters in this area, mostly living in this area. And I'm talking about, non-Africans. Even the Africans is probably about 70, 80,000 Africans, if not more. But they're spread out throughout the state too. But there's at least 50,000 Africans in the Twin Cities, if not more. And that's why let me say this about immigration. When they brought all them Somalians over here, the Somalians, remember they were behind Taylor. Was it Taylor? But they lost. Black Hawk Down. Remember Black Hawk Down? Mogadishu. They lost. And so what the other side started doing was starving to death the opposition that helped work with the Americans. That's what they did. They started starving to death. They said if you was part of the other tribe, they was killing them, but they was starving them to death. That's what they did to the tribe that lost, the family that lost. They start starving the people to death. And they show you that in Black Hawk Down. Remember, they was calling them the skinnies. Well, the Americans caused them being the skinnies. And again, you can get into what was called the African Union, how the CIA had backed that at one point. But this is how they retaliated against them. And we saw, when the Vietnamese took Vietnam, the same thing, kind of thing. So they starved those people to death. And then you can compare it to the same way in Cambodia. When the Americans backed out of there and they let them, Penning Pong, and he wiped out all them, the killing fields. If you're not hip to it, watch a movie called The Killing Fields. And they took all the bureaucrats out of the cities that worked in the kind of American-like system, put them all on farms, worked them to death, and started, killing them, killing their own people. So this is what the governments have allowed, and you can't blame the Somalians, you can't blame the Vietnamese, because these people work with our enemy. Now, of course, you understand that social economics always plays a part of it. But what got away is what people left from the North Vietnam was Catholics. The Catholics went to the South. And then the Catholics and the new, regime coming in, communists is atheists. But at some point they like, shit, we can't force everybody to be everything. They want tourists because Vietnam is beautiful. So we eventually want tourists to come back here, so we can't fuck all these Catholics up. You understand? When it comes to dollars. And the destabilization of just the world, like South America is, if you don't think that America has destabilized them, then like why do they have to come here? And these countries have plenty of resources. And America lets the piracy and the crooked governments, I mean, if they like it and it helps them suppress the people, they will go with crooked and pirates. You know, just watch some of the countries that sell gold and the piracy that goes on there and the legal governments that they have to pay, have to pay these entities that know they're making gold here. And there's nothing the main government can do about it. So America encourages this kind of thing. They want it destabilized. And people forget, they took Mexico. They took Mexico in 1850s, 1848. Most of the Civil War people fought in that war. They fought in the Mexican War, and they went all the way to Mexico City. And it makes you wonder, why didn't they just take all that and turn all that into productive area? Because that's what they do. That makes you wonder, all they really took was California. Why didn't they take all that and develop that more into like America and more American states? It makes you wonder, why didn't they? They had it. They took it. They took the capital, not from the French, but from the Mexicans that took over after that defeated the French. What do they call it? May and May, they have a party for beating the French. Well, they beat the people that beat the French and took it over. So why didn't they keep that? They just kept California. But why didn't they keep all that land and develop all that there and stabilize those states, make those more American states? Why didn't they? It would have had more infrastructure. I mean, you see that they keep it in the conditions where they're always fighting, and they destabilize them, like they destabilize these neighborhoods. They do to these countries. And then you get a leader that comes in there and really tries to be for the people. All of a sudden, he end up getting poisoned, having cancer or something. And all these horror stories about how he ain't really helping the people. Like, there's no one ever that stepped in these governments and said, I can do a little good to help somebody. It's always nobody helps nobody. So we got to get out of here. There's no economic base. If we let them take over, they kill the people. And what was that movie called? Oliver Stone's movie where they killed them nuns and shit. What was that movie called? That's a deep movie. If you want to see how they destabilize a country, that second Oliver Stone movie where they killed them nuns. Is it Guatemala? Let's see. Let's see what that movie's called. Because that's a deep movie. This should bring it up. This ain't it. This ain't it. This is not it. It's not called that. It's called... No, it's not South of the Border. Let's see. Something like Guatemala. What is this movie? This one ain't it. The one they showing me now ain't it. It's not called South of the Border. It's called something else. Yeah, it's a movie. It's not a doc. This is what they showing me is a documentary, and it's not a documentary. South America, maybe war. Maybe that is Salvador. That's what it's called. Salvador. That's what it's called. Yeah, let's find that one. Salvador. Yeah, it's a movie he made called Salvador, and they just showing me the country. But yeah, it's the Oliver Stone movie Salvador. That's what it's called. So maybe I can get it to come in. Yeah, this is it right here. If y'all ain't seen this, watch this if you want to see how dirty they are. This movie right here, Salvador, right here. Oliver Stone, Woods is in this. Oliver Stone, Richard Woods, what's his name? Starring James Woods. And it's a veteran journalist, has 20 years of experience while he has been a good outpost. Bold substance abuse problems, his arrogance had marred his reputation and left him practically unemployable. One morning, he finds that his wife has abandoned him and taken their child. Broke with no immediate prospects, Boyle and his close friend, Dr. Rick Jim Bellucci, an out-of-work disc jockey, head to El Salvador, where Boyle is convinced that he can do freelance amongst the national's political turmoils. After arriving, meets the general he met during the football war, and he and Rock are taken into a school turned barracks where both discuss the situation and learns that the Salvadoran army is being supplied by the U.S. Sensing that a disaster is imminent, El Salvador boy eventually decides to leave, but is reunited with his old flame and two children, is motivated to help them escape the country. So yeah, this is a deep movie, and this is called Salvador. So check that out. Salvador is a decent movie. Salvador is a decent movie. Have we talked about the young lady Obama had killed because she expected? Yeah, we haven't talked about that. You have to give me a little more of that. I'm going to show a little bit of a brother's work because I got to pee and I got a little more to say. I got some time. Yeah, I'll cut out. I'll give about, I'll get in 3 hours, but I do got to pee. So I'm going to let a brother chop for a few minutes. I don't think he'll mind. I do not think he'll mind at all. So let me find his stuff so I can go pee, or I'll just put some of mine old on, but I'd rather something new. Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah, I got to listen to this one. Okay. I'm going to let the brother chop. Hope he doesn't mind.
I say what they won't. And today I refer to the so-called new black media. I didn't say any names. I didn't put any names or titles in the thumbnails. It's not because I am worried one iota about any sort of academic debate with any 5 of them. No, it's because I don't believe in doing that for views. It just seems so tacky. I'll admit, I did put Hillary Clinton's name in several times before the election back in 2016 because I can't stand her, because I considered her a racist, murderous, abortion-promoting, Margaret Sanger-appreciating monster. And I think I'm still accurate about that. In any case, what I want to talk about today is I'm just going to get to the point right out the gate, which I've explained before, and we can look at these arrows and see where I'm going here. Let's see. I see what they don't. I say what they won't. What I want to draw attention to is that I think some of them see just fine, but they're just afraid to say what I know. Here I have a quote from Professor Patrick Lumumba regarding the silence, that it's wrong to be silent about taking a side as far as the genocide is concerned with the Palestinians. And he says, in matters such as these, to be neutral is to be dishonest. And I think he's fair there. And I think the so-called leaders in black media saying that they are indifferent to the plight of the Palestinians shows that they've absorbed that wicked, ugly spirit of their pale oppressors. Because it's a very un-African thing to do, to not have empathy for other people. And the gross and heinous crimes committed against the Palestinians, they remind me of pale racists. And I believe that they are reflections of that. And I'm going to go into that, make my case for that. And I think it's accurate and I think it stands. But I want to simplify things to the extreme today. For anyone in so-called leader in black media that's not addressing this, you can't trust them. because I think many of them are not ignorant, but they are well aware of it. They're just afraid to state the facts. But I have a brief 6-point list here. Number one, numbers 1 through 3 are facts. Number one, any reparations package will have to pass a AIPAC-funded Congress. Let me repeat that again in number 2. Any reparations package will have to pass a AIPAC-funded Congress. Let me try it one more time. Any reparations package will have to pass an AIPAC-funded Congress. You see, they're right there. There's no way avoiding them. They and their opinions stand between us and our reparations. Number 4. Anyone that says AIPAC, i.e. Zionism, has nothing to do with reparations are either ignorant, liars, or fools. Number 5. Any leader, quotation marks, in the so-called new black media not addressing the Zionist problem are either ignorant, liars, or fools. Number 6 is very important. I think they're more liars than fools. Walk with me. I think they know very well about the AIPAC problem. I think they're too afraid to say it because they're worried about lining their pockets. So you can't talk about you are a leader in black media, that you have the best interest of our people in mind, and you are not talking about Zionism. You can completely avoid and take the Palestinians out of it, which I don't. But go on, take the Palestinians out of it. Go on and pretend that doesn't exist, which you have to be incredibly cruel to be that way, in my opinion. But let's just take that out of the way. Let's be honest. Let's do what there's several different acronyms used for this, but it's in business systems analysis. I learned mine through my management degree, specializing in the operation of nonprofit agencies. And that's a SWOT analysis. And what is a SWOT analysis? Many of you have heard it before. It's you analyze the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats to the business at hand. But you can apply this to any endeavor or any aspect of your life. And there are serious threats and weaknesses regarding reparations when it comes to Zionism and the Zionist lobby. Keep in mind, they fund both sides of the party. So AIPAC will be, if reparations make it to the point of Congress, reparations will be decided on by candidates, if things remain the way they are, by candidates or by congresspersons who are funded by the Zionist lobby. What does that mean? Do the math there. It means what the Zionists want will have a significant, if not decisive, factor on whether we receive reparations or not. Now, I've already explained that the Zionists
there's a book, and the book I gotta get another copy, but the book is called it's by the Nation of Islam. It's Judaism and Slavery. That is a great book. If you can find it, it's costly, but I'm gonna let the brother keep chopping.
Zionists can't afford to lobby for reparations, because what that would do would show their recognition of our humanity as human beings and what we've gone through slavery, which many of their ancestors participated in and profited from. This is known fact. But by showing recognition of our humanity and the rights for us to receive reparative justice for the inequities that we've suffered under chattel slavery, would turn a spotlight right back on them and their hypocrisy with their heinous treatment of the Palestinians. They're going to say no. And if you doubt that, all you have to do is look at what Bernie had to say about reparations. So let me run it by again for those of you that have not listened. Number 1. Any reparations package will have to pass an AIPAC-funded Congress. Number 2, any reparations package will have to pass an AIPAC-funded Congress. Number 3, any reparations package will have to pass an AIPAC-funded Congress. And number 4, this is my honest, deep felt, to the bones opinion and intuition. Anyone that says AIPAC, i.e. Zionism, has nothing to do with reparations are either ignorant, liars, or fools. Number 5, any leader in the so-called new black media not addressing the Zionist problem are either ignorant, liars, or fools. Number 6, very important. I think they are more liars than fools. Oh, they know. They know. I haven't seen any of them ever mention it, though. And to the best of my knowledge, I think I'm the only one over here in this sanctioned underbelly of the YouTube universe. Yes, I know I've been banished to the nether realms. Why have I been banished to the nether realms of YouTube? Why? You know why. I see what they don't, and I say what they won't. It is a lonely badge of honor. But you don't see them taking other people's channels down the way they took mine. And I was a little sarcastic, but my data remains, it stands on its own. There's no refuting what I've said right there. And that brings me to, I
All right. I respect the brother. I'll show so much. I respect him. But take it, if that interests you, take it on your own. And he talks about Tariq. That brother, how that brother overlooks them peoples. And a lot of them won't say, but you do your own research on that. I think the brother, he's one of my favorite YouTubers just as well. And he's right. Why did they take his other stuff? I think they took my video down, my other channel down, basically for one video. And again, I just repeated what my doctor told me. So it wasn't miseducating, misleading. My doctor told me something. I repeated exactly what my doctor told me. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like she could have came and said, yes, this is what I told him. if I had to go to the court of YouTube and ask my doctor, did you tell him this? She was like, yeah, exactly what happened. That's what she would have said. What she told me is what happened. And so they censored me for telling you early when this thing was out, experience what happened to the doctors that was some of the first to get that stuff. I told the story. And for that, they struck the channel down without any warnings, any strikes, without any warnings or any strikes. And this again was right when Mr. Biden took over. This was right today. I think it was January 6th when Biden took over 4 years ago. They took a channel down that had been there since 14. I'm making a lot of noise and shit, moving this shit around. So, not crying. That's what happened. And so, you just move on. They seem to let people come back on and they shoot little warnings at you if they don't like what you're saying. That's why, again, that's why I said I got out of doing a lot of the sports anymore. Just don't really care. I've put enough out there where, when you see it. And I think, the gematria cats, that's the problem they have is they like, how do you keep that stuff fresh? How do you keep it fresh? And so, to see, me showing shots that are obvious, manipulated by some type of system, like we saw tonight with Dame Dash shooting from half court. Because I'll tell you, if you watch them and you look at, he's shooting something like, I think 29% from the field, Dame, from the threes. He ain't been shooting well. If you've been watching, Milwaukee comes on almost once a week. I've been seeing a lot of Milwaukee games. He ain't been hooping. Remember, they lost 3 games in a row, if not more. They had just got beat on national TV almost 3 times. They played on national TV, they got beat. And he's shooting for crap. But all of a sudden, he's a 3-point shooting contest winner. And all of a sudden, he's the MVP. He's hitting from half court. Not even Steph was trying to shoot from that deep. Well, he shot a few feet up. So, you see, I don't have to keep pointing it out because you should be able to see it by now. We know it's scripted. We know the shots are manipulated, so I don't have to keep showing that. I don't have to keep talking about that. I do like to show formations and shit, how they script that. Just like I was saying, what's positive about seeing Doc Rivers? is when Giannis gets double teams, they have Portis somewhere where he's sliding and getting open. That's a wrinkle that Doc put in there. I watched enough of Milwaukee to see. I was like, oh, Doc put that in there. And maybe the second half is the rise of them, is the rise of Dame and Giannis. I doubt it. I think Dame is going to be just like James Harden. James Harden would never win a title, neither would Dame. What he won today, that's what he gonna win. What he won, that's what he's gonna win, right there. That seems to be his script. He seems to be a lovable loser as well. So, but yeah, Ancestor Production and what he puts out there is, you got to really look at what our government is in reality, and what our political people and what part of voting is necessary, and what part of vote you actually have a hand in creating a community. One thing that, I was talking about the brother that Black Magic had on, Dr. Wallace D. Muhammad, or no, maybe that wasn't his name, whatever his name was. One thing that they let down that the Roman Catholic Church actually followed. And my brother, I'm trying to do some of his work and just out of memory, but what they end up doing is exactly what Noble Drew Ali said, is like how you get what's it called? Trying to think, it's called the townships. You study his work, and he had a formula of how you start local government. And that one brother wrote a book on kind of basically the business plan. He just put it in a more business plan. But Noble Drew Ali came up with this idea, and the Catholic Church did it to perfection, what he put out there on how you start townships. You do, you start your own local government. You get it recognized, you incorporate it. I mean, it's, if you study any of Noble Drew Ali's work, he tells you this kind of thing. And this is, and the Nation of Islam didn't really apply it. I think like Reverend Ike applied it more than anybody else. Because he showed people that dealt with him, how to bring out the God in you spiritually and economically. So he was showing people and putting it in action on how we bring this everybody. I don't need to just scam off y'all. I'm going to show everybody. But we're bringing out what's inside of us. We're not relying on something outside of us. That's why Reverend Ike was such a threat. Because he taught what, he put the words out there, but what he was telling you was what was in you. And you watch him, and he emphasizes that over and over again, what is in you. And economically tried to help his people. Now, that's a model they did not want. But yet he put enough light on himself where they really couldn't kill him. And, they know time, They got one of these every now and then. We give him his 60 years, but then it'll die down. Nobody will be able to practice what he did. It was just him. It's the thing they're going to do about Jim Jones. And we know Jim Jones worked for the CIA. He has the FBI. So they're telling you this crazy story. This man just went down there and got all these people to commit suicide. This was all planned by them. This is where they're agents. So that's what becomes interesting. Oh, y'all don't know, man. I remember at my old chair, I used to just struggle. And this new chair, this is not as comfortable as the recliner, but this reminds me so much of my car seats. I used to have car seats like this. Look at this shit. I mean, my Continental must have been because I had the what year was that one? One was a 95. I had the 95 Mark 8. What year was that Continental? Maybe the Continental was 90 because it was the big Continental, not the more streamlined one. And it had seats like this, but they were maroon-like, but they were made just like this interior, like that. You sat on that, and that was in the back, and the back seat had a big, big, big sweet one that was made this kind of, was in my back seat. And that mug was on the highway, them old cars that had the air rides. Man, you get on the highway, that car will just get low and just float. Just float. You know, I don't know if y'all understand the feeling of just floating. Now, them big cars used to be so fun to drive because, you know, the bigger the car, the way it's going on the highway, and these is, you know, living rooms. You drive in a living room, it's so comfortable. And you smoking one and you drinking, man. Well, not really drinking, but smoking one, eating some munchies and just cruising, you know, going a couple hours somewhere. Them cars was built for that. This shit would just be so comfortable it didn't make sense. Shit, I remember my 300 when all my boys was little, all 5 of them could sit back there. Was Keelan born? 4 of them. Maybe Keelan wasn't born, or was a baby, but like I could fit 4 of them in when I had my 300 in 05. Yeah, Keelan would have been 4, but I don't think the time I went to Lake Michigan, I don't think I took him. I took all the boys with me. I don't think I took him because he couldn't walk. So he probably didn't go with me that time. The other boys could walk at the time. So I was able to put all 4 of their asses in the back of that 300. And in 05, Brennan would have been 8 or 9. Brian would have been probably 11 or 12. So Devin would have been 5. Cameron would have been 2 or 3, I'm guessing. Maybe not quite 4. So, you know, put all them in the back. So those are some days that, you know, a lot of you may not experience or, you know, even like going to Detroit. That was the cool thing about where I lived and where I grew up. You know, 3 hours to Chicago, 3 hours to Detroit. That's where Kalamazoo is between. And then Battle Creek is only roughly an hour and 10, 15 minutes. It's really, you know, Detroit's really close from Battle Creek. As I said before, I made it to Detroit from Battle Creek in 50 minutes one time when I was a cop. And I was down there hustling too. You know, I was going down there to pick some shit up, and I was still a cop, but I was going down there to cop that shit because it was cheaper. And then I came back, you know, and hitting that 90 because I know ain't nobody stopping me. And if they do stop me, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm got to go to work. Here's my ID. I wasn't getting searched and no shit like that. It's like, man, I'm late for work. You know, they let you go. So. Yeah, like being in them old Fleetwoods and shit. That's why I think I'm going to fix up like a 90, 91, 92. I think I'm going to get a Fleetwood, a 91, 92 Fleetwood. I think they were better cars than some of the Lincoln. Like that Continental, the problem was you'd have to switch out the air rides. But actually the engine wasn't a bad engine. And you could get that Boss engine and them Continentals too. Because my Mark 8 had one of them LS engines in it. I forget which LS. No, wouldn't be LS. It would be, wasn't the Boss. It was the next engine up from the Boss. 302, something like that. I forget what they put in there. LS is GM. I get it mixed up. Sorry. So I think that's one of the projects I want. I want to get a 71 Mark 1. 71 Mark 1. I want one of those. And then I want a 91. Yeah, 91 sedan Brougham. And another car I love is a 70 Thunderbird, 4-door Thunderbird. And it has like the Continental. It has the suicide doors. If you look up a 70 Thunderbird, it has suicide doors. 70, I think it's 69, 70, 71. I'd like to find one of those too. I kind of love that kind of car. Not too big into, I mean, the Mark 1 is about the only hot rod I really liked. Because I remember somebody had one and I was able to keep one for about a month when I came home for Christmas. And I love that car. It was wintertime, but it wasn't a bad winter, so that car did really good, you know. In the wintertime, but that's the kind of old cars I like. If I was to, you know, buy, it was one more to mine. I can't think of what it is. And I don't know if you guys ever saw a Mark 8, a convertible Mark 8. You know, you had to get that shit customized to make it convertible back then. Because they didn't sell them like that. So you had to have somebody pick it up, take it out. There's only places out west was one of the few places you could get that done and turn that motherfucker into a convertible. And that's why any car can be fixed. I mean, that's what you got to, and again, it's the price, Again, it's definitely the price. And if you have a mechanic, he's got to have all the newest tools and stuff as well. So, and that's the thing about, American cars are still, pretty simple to work on. But like you get a car like a Land Rover, that's why I would never get another one. The one I had, it never didn't start. It always started, but again, the things that go wrong was double the price. And now their reputation of getting a new one, I don't even, like, you'd have to have somebody you knew that was mechanic could work on them, because their reputation since the Indian company took over is something you wouldn't even want. If you wanted one and you knew that the Land Rover place had a good service department, then get an autobiography. That's what I would get, like a 17 or 18 before that Indian company bought them. But since they took over, it's the same thing with like the Chryslers. My ex says she got a 19 Grand Cherokee. Again, that's before, that's after Stellantis bought them. And so you don't want one of those cars. Have a lot of issues. The Stellantis made cars. Again, they make Alfa Romeos. They make Maseratis. They make Maseratis. And so, you look at the quality of that stuff, it just ain't there. Oh. Let me see. What does he say? Yeah. Oh, your boy had did you say Maserati? What is this? She told me about an hour ago not to be so loud. Yeah, I got to not be so loud. She's sleeping on the other side of me. Oh, here we go. Oh, your boy had a Mark 8. Okay. Yeah, your boy had a Mark 8. Yeah. Oh, that Mark 8. I'll tell you a story. I was coming here to Minneapolis because I was really, I was getting cheaper weed in Minneapolis. So I started making them trips, because it's like a 10-hour trip. Back then it was 55. And I had a fuzz buster and all that, I remember I was going there and there was a truck that kept trying to pass me. And it was like, man, I'm not getting behind this truck. So every time he would get close, I would just hit it. And I would just be gone. Like he would get close to me and I would just punch that motherfucker. That motherfucking car would sit there and just take off. And, every time, because it got to raining, I definitely wasn't going to be behind him when it was raining. And that car rear drive. As soon as he get close to me, I'll punch it again, And that car would do about 120, easy. I mean, that car did 100 and it was pretty smooth. Again, air ride all around. And I told you, I went to Cleveland. I had to work. I had a workshop in Cleveland or something. I had to go to Cleveland. And my passenger air ride went out. So I'm driving like this back from Cleveland. I mean, when the air rides go out, like the one before mine, like the 92, 93s, man, those was bad for when they would go out and that mug be riding flat. But even the Mark 7s ain't bad cars. I mean, they ride really good. That's what people forget. The way they used to make seats, man, them seats used to be so comfortable. Well, y'all, I thank everybody for coming. 3 hours is probably enough, and I do. Yeah, this is a good time. I can take my medication now. Take a few minutes for it to kick in. But like, thank you all. I appreciate it. I guess I'll give a couple minutes of philosophizing before I finish. Like I was saying with Reverend Ike, I mean, it really is in you. And there's so many distractions to take you away from who you truly are and what you truly are and how important you are in the world. Because, you look around, it's all that you've created. where you're sitting listening to me is everything that you've created. And so you should be proud of yourself. Just look around, you know, what's around you right now and how all that became around you. And tell me that the world is not treating you good enough. So whoever listens to me, just look around you and think about it. You have everything you need. I mean, look around you. Almost everybody, I would say everybody listening to me right now, you have everything that you need. I'm not saying you're not going to acquire more, but I'm saying you should be like, look around. Everything that you need, you probably have. And you should be proud of yourself because you're at that point of your life. Now, I hope all of you that's listening, you know, that you're not stressed, because I know stress can kill. Stress can make you sick. But if you look at it, you have everything that you need. And so feel proud and love yourself that you've done that and what you've accomplished. Because a lot of times, you know, we be after it so much, we don't think about what we've accomplished. Now I blew my nose and my stuff is starting to, so sorry about the sniffing and snorting. But so, you know, look at yourself as a success. You know, you're sitting right here listening to me at this time of the morning or night, no matter you work, wherever you are successful. That you have the time to listen to me shows that you're a successful person. Hey, Big Stank, if I didn't say what's happening, I'm sorry. And so I hope you feel that way. And that's why I say in the morning, you have to do something where you leave this motherfucker and you're a Super Saiyan. That's how you have to face the world. You really do. And that's how your energy really is. And how can I talk about without mentioning the witch? Because when I mention her stuff, I like to say it comes from her. But I mean, it really is a meter of, you know, how your energy and how you can just keep your energy up here. That's how I can get around it. I can get around it. You know, just think of when you leave the house, how you want to vibrate, how your energy and how you want people to perceive you as your energy is like. What they perceive is up here. You know, that all that energy coming out you, when they come around you, they just see confidence and a successful person. You know, that's really, you know, like I say with dressing and stuff, that just shows confidence. You know, I'm walking around yesterday I'm walking around Saturday with a fur coat on. And all I'm doing is picking up Chinese food and getting some beer and I had to go into Target with a fur coat on. But do you think I care the perception of me? I was out in front of the house shoveling snow with the fur coat on. But because I'm who I am and I can wear it, and this little baby was around, he's like, who is he? Mom said, I don't know. But he looks very fascinating. But that's my point. It's like, it don't matter what they think. I'm making their perception because I'm coming as something different. And that's all. That's what you all are. We're all different. We're all unique. And so feel it, live it, be it. Confidence is being. That's all confidence is being. Nothing more, nothing less. It's being. Action cures fear. Now, I didn't say danger, but I said fear. Action cures fear. Sometimes you have to face fear. I didn't say you have to face danger, but fear you definitely have to face. Danger is a different thing. That's different than fear. And fear is something that, you know, you have to overcome. You have to stay positive to face fear. You know, don't put it there on the shelf. Be like, okay, I'll face it and I'm going to kick you in the ass. Get the fuck out of here, fear. Mackin'. Mackin' in Target. Yeah, indeed. You know what he says? What does he say? Yeah. getting stuffy. And you know what they say.
And every time I'm seen, I got to be clean.
And every time I've seen, I've got to be clean. I thought I told you. Well, I'm going to hang it up. 3 hours is good enough. Let me quit yelling. I'm getting excited. I got to get up, but it's no problem to get up. I like getting up and doing things. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your day off if you off. If you're getting that time and a half, grab it tonight. If you're getting that holiday pay tomorrow, grab it and party with it. And just be glad you're getting time and a half or triple time because it's worth it. This is the Chocolate Mountain Show coming from you from the Galactic